There's no set way to live life as a professional racer, but if I had to choose, I'd live like the thriller, Jack Miller. It's this Australian's fearless and fun approach to racing that sets him apart in the MotoGP paddock. No one does it quite like Jack. Since he was a kid, his dream was to race in MotoGP, and that lifelong goal has given him a level of appreciation for his spot on the grid that few riders can match.
Still pinch myself to this day that I've been fortunate enough to do this for 10 years and ride these multi-million-dollar machines I shouldn't be allowed to touch, let alone ride, and I'm still doing it.
When he's not travelling the world chasing championship points, you'll find him back at home in Australia, riding and racing anything with two wheels, simply because he loves it. That passion is what drives him to the limit, keeping fans on the edge of their seats every time he lines up on the grid. Gypsy gang, welcome Jack Miller to the podcast. Righto.
What do we got here?
A bit of Toowoomba ball. Got to keep you hydrated, eh?
I like it.
Jack Miller is joining us on the podcast once again. Second appearance since 2019. We're back.
It's been a minute.
Has been
a minute. Nah, it's different location.
Yeah.
But I like the new digs.
Cheers, mate.
It's
good to have
well,
you.
I think we've both come a long way since the 2019.
Yeah, it's. I was thinking about it today. You just pretty much signed at Factory Ducati or about to sign at Factory Ducati.
No, not even yet.
You hadn't
not even
done
yet.
that
So
yet.
we did it. Was it the end of 2018?
No,
it would have been the end of 2019.
No, it was end of 2019.
Yeah,
because
so-
it was the day before the biggest Christmas party of all time.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah.
That was
And
so
then,
big, bro.
yeah, and then I ended up signing for Ducati once COVID and all that sort of broke out and we were like locked in at home. I hadn't even
That's
raced in
right.
2020 yet and we signed for 21.
Yeah.
So yeah, been
a minute.
Been a couple teams, a bit of a journeyman.
Kid,
married.
wife.
Yeah,
I know,
you too.
we're same. Yeah, dude. So,
Not kid, but not yet.
not
anyway.
yet. But yeah, it is crazy, eh? The time goes, bro.
Yeah, man.
Couple big fishing trips in between, couple new moto builds.
Yeah.
Life's been good.
The tracks are definitely looking different from last
eh?
time, but no, I mean it's been good. Time's been good to me. The body definitely feels rougher than it did back then, that's for certain. But I wouldn't have it any other way.
So before we go too deep, we got to touch base on the new 450, mate. How is it?
Good.
You like it?
Good. Yeah, loving it. I did such a long time on KTM Husky that I
Same,
hadn't
dude.
rode anything else really
Yeah.
at all. And then I was spun out just first of all by the power.
Crazy,
Because,
eh?
Historically speaking, the Austrian bikes were always, let's say, a little bit of a step ahead in terms of stock form than the Japanese bikes. But no, power was phenomenal. The chassis, how slim they are now. The old Yami that I rode was
Bit of a boat back then.
well, it was just big through the tank especially, but no, I mean, and then the suspension, even in the
wild
standard
out of the
form,
gate,
is ridiculous. Like Frank, I rode it standard the first time, and then I went testing, and then came back, and Frank had rebuilt basically the standard stuff, and put a bladder and put his magic into it basically, and I was like spun out with it, and then went away again, and then come back, and I ended up with 4 sets of forks and 4 shocks. I've gone 3 in Europe coming. There's just
What'd you go with?
Kayaba.
Technical
Ended up
touch?
going,
Did
yeah,
you do it
went
through
through technical touch.
Yeah.
I bought the 3 last year and I was just waiting, but they've been short on stock. And then it took a minute to get a bike at home. So ended up going to the shop and buying one. And then had to get the bike. And then we didn't get, the suspension was taking a minute. And then the importer for Kayaba in Australia basically could get us another set or get us set. They had one or something. So I was like, we need to get that at least. So now we've ended up with 4 sets of suspension and all the fruit. But I mean, it's one of those things when you've been on a bike for so long. I mean, we got spare parts coming out our ears.
Yeah.
That, I mean, the bike's definitely better. And for example, Billy at home, I'd love to have him on a Yamaha, but I mean, we've got that.
You got like years
worth of parts and wheels and just so much stuff there that we kind of got to get through. So it'd be silly not to use it up.
Use it, mate.
Exactly. So it's been awesome learning the new bike. I think Frank's enjoyed it as well. He'd had a little bit with one of the boys at home's Yemi already before mine, so he sort of had a ballpark of where he was going just from his feedback. But just in general, I mean, it's a little bit taller. I didn't expect that. Like the actual bike itself sits quite a bit taller. Fabio has the same van as mine in Europe.
Oh, yeah.
And like the KTM slid straight under. Like I could like wobble it a little bit and get the forks to sit a little bit and they'd slide straight in. He said there's absolutely no chance like he can get his in. He's been putting it in backwards. I said, well, I'm going to have to put a whole shot button on mine so I can at least put it in underneath where the bed goes.
Yeah.
So like until he said that, I was like sitting on the bike thinking, this thing feels massive, like tall, let's say. But just how well it reacts on the stadium track at home, just mucking around.
Is that where you've ridden it the most, or did you ride outdoors as well?
I didn't go across to the big track because we had like 2 meters of rain at Christmas or just after Christmas while I was away testing. We had like 2.5 meters of rain in 2 weeks, and then we've just had another boatload now. So the stadium track's kind of easy to push up and get things dialed in pretty quick, especially with the irrigation and everything that's on it. But the outdoor track needs a bit of love. So Josh was already on call. He knows what's happening, but I'm not doing the same mistake as I did last year. I kind of got him to come up and tidy everything up, and it ended up being 3 trips because he'd get up there and it'd start pissing down again. He'd get up there and it'd start pissing down again. It was honestly the last one. He got up there, did a day, and it started pissing on him, and literally got on the plane. And I was like, my plan was to land and have the track ready to go when I got home. And literally, I landed in Melbourne. And I was getting on the flight. He was getting off from Townsville. They just landed up. We like passed each other as a team. But we'll try again later. So we'll wait a little bit this year and get it dialed in. You know what it's like at home. You got this period where you get all your rain and then you're pretty good for the rest of the year. Yeah. It's been pretty hot.
Let's show people the track, just so people, because we're sticking around this part of the woods for a bit. So this is the dream build. So talk us through this process. This was the last time I got to hang with you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was a couple weeks.
Dude, that was the best.
Honestly.
We had so much fun.
It was pretty cool, obviously. There she is, Gumlow. No, it was awesome to be able to put that one together with the guys from Cat and with Josh, and just to get everybody involved and to be able to take up a whole paddock of the old boys.
It's crazy looking at it now.
And the worst part is you don't even get to see it there when they go. Can you go back, Griff? With the machine. So what you don't see there is we ended up having to get a second truck in and because like we literally got 3 days in and we like called the guys from Cat and we're like, we need another truck. Like the dirt's going nowhere, not touching the sides. So we got a 740 as well in.
So yeah, you always had that little stadium track, like
originally the original motocross track. I mean, you can almost kind of see the outlines of it a little bit there.
Yeah,
that went out that way. But then when I built the Supercross track, which then turned into the stadium track, when I built that, we scraped all the dirt up from the motocross track, and then like what people don't understand, or what. When you come there and you see it, where the stadium track is, it was like a whole big washout that kind of went down that way. So that swallowed, like we leveled that whole pad because it all kind of just ran down to where the dam is now. So we had to level that all out before we did the Supercross build, and that's when Quinny ripped the power out because we were running short on dirt. So we had to just start digging a hole out of the middle. But so the original motocross track kind of went around that area, but obviously not to that degree, but no, I mean, when I pulled the original motocross track down, the plan was obviously to always
rebuild
a decent with a little bit better, not with the old boy and a backhoe and a skiddy. That was about it. So I think
what was it, like 3 days, 4 days of building, or was it a week? All up.
That?
Yeah, how much was it in the end?
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Is that how long solid. You spent on it?
Yeah, I put the first 4 days, I put on a power screen pulling like 400 ton of sand out of like that So there's a river that runs through, and every year the sand builds up on the
Yeah,
inside,
yeah,
and it's kind of like a sandstone base, but you can kind of scratch the sand that gets washed in there. But it's obviously got river rock through it. So
Yeah, so you had to sift it all out.
I got a power screen in, and I spent 3 days with getting like 400 ton of sand and sifting it, so it had no rock in it. And then all the straights have got sand blend, and all the corners have got sand blended through the clay to kind of help it form a little bit better, and it's not as skatey when it gets wet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we were moving dirt for like nearly 8 days straight. Dad was starting at 4 in the morning, and I know that for a fact because I could just hear the D6 start up. No, because you just hear the tracks
the
going.
tracks going down the road.
Down because you just start pushing dirt from the hole to basically get a bit of a stockpile before the boys got there. I think we were starting around 6, and we were just running dirt all day. It would have been 10 days straight, nearly. It was nearly 10 days.
Is that like the best 10 days of your life?
It was,
watching,
yeah, it was pretty
well,
watching and like, you know, for me, I'm lucky that I get to jump in sort of whatever is going at the time. I was in the loader for a fair bit of it. Ended up, I'd never driven a loader before, and
Dude, have a look at it.
It looks even better now, to be honest. I've been running the
Really?
mower around and getting it good. And
So there's grass around
There's
the track
grass
now?
in the middle, and it looks phenomenal. But yeah, there's some water ruts and whatnot everywhere. But yeah, you see all the sand through it. That was a job on its own.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we moved close to 20,000 ton. I think it was like 18 or 19,000 ton of dirt to build it. We had, like I said, the 30 ton dump and a 40 ton dump going flat out. Like, it was a loader
job,
and the excavator were either loading the truck. Well, either or was loading the trucks, and the D6 was pretty much for the first, let's say, week.
Yeah.
Was just pushing to either the loader while we were on the top of the hole. It was just pushing up to me basically, and then once they were in the hole, then the excavator was just, we were driving the dump trucks into the hole.
Just a legit mine site.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we were doing
site.
2,000 litres a day, 1,800 litres a day in diesel.
What's that in cost?
It was expensive.
Oh, that's the because I remember when we did Dream.
Don't talk numbers.
True,
Ruby will watch this one later.
Watch this. Yeah. I remember when we did Dream Ride, I just did not account for the amount of diesel.
Yeah.
Like it was just. I mean, we spent like $7 or $8 grand in diesel.
Yeah.
Like
It would have been about that. It would have been about 10 grand, I reckon, in diesel at least.
Hey,
Like,
worth every penny,
I mean,
bro.
At the end of the day, we weren't paying for machinery hire and all that. Which, I mean, if you had to do that, it's.
What's the?
And I mean, it's ended up costing me in the long run.
Because you got to redo it.
No, not even that. One of the neighbours that's nowhere near us, Dad was knocking down trees on the back of my block, just clearing like the scrub, basically, just all the little trees that pop up. You know, we leave, as you see in all of our paddocks, anything that's well established and a decent tree, we'll leave, but we'll kind of clean it up. So, because if you look to any of the other properties, chunky apples and all that sort of rubbish plant that grow, they're all introduced species anyway, just cleaning it up so that the cattle can graze it basically and you can actually get some grass growing. So he was clearing that, and then old mate wasn't happy with it or whatever, so then all of a sudden there's a letter from the council about the track, and had to go through it all. Yeah, so it's been an ongoing thing. We're nearly there now, but at the end of the day, I said, what are they going to do? Like, you can come and move all the dirt back to the hole yourself if you'd like. I mean...
You're the mayor. Do they not know that you're the mayor of Gunmo? Like,
I don't think that's reached that high up yet. But, yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones. At the end of the day, what are you going to do? At least once it's all through and done, I can do what I want then. It's legal.
What do they say? Ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is permission, that's for certain.
But dude, the sickest few days, I ended up flying in, which was quite nice.
Yeah, it's way better.
Griffin Roans had to drive up in the trailer, and then we did our World Vets boot camp.
Yeah. Well, you had the whole team there. It was good.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it was unreal. It was an epic couple of days. You know, it's one of those ones that you look back on very fondly. It's or epic couple of weeks. You know, it was the best way I could have thought to spend the summer break. I mean, literally that was essentially the holiday, but I was literally basically working a construction site the whole time, but it was all for my own benefit, so it was mega. A lot of early mornings, a lot of late nights, but the boys put in, Josh is phenomenal at what he does.
They do such a good job.
They do such a good job, but also in terms of just having the vision and also just being able to lead a group of guys that really shouldn't be doing that. I mean, one's a mechanic, one's this, that, the other. I mean, at the end of the day, you're throwing guys in machines and saying, you'll be right, won't you?
Yeah.
And, for let's say the quality of people, like everyone's got half an idea, but just getting people, or herding sheep, I guess you'd call it, just making sure we stay focused. And because we had a timeline and stuff like that, he was phenomenal at that. And, I mean, you see the finished job of what he does, and also just how it stood up through the harsh conditions that we have up there. He prepped it last year, middle of the year, and Matty come up and did some testing.
Yeah,
and he had a ball,
that's right.
And then we prepped it before Toowoomba, which I mean it's totally similar to Toowoomba. So, but it was epic before that. Like he kind of left everything pretty loose though, like the faces of the jumps, so they all kind of rutted up really nicely. That was pretty cool. But no, it's a lot of fun. It's nice to have it in the backyard and just be able to go and tinker on it when you want it.
You've been slowly just setting up retirement.
Pretty much.
For like the last 15 years.
Pretty much. I mean, yeah, I've got it pretty well dialed now. The boys are onto it now, finally making headway on getting light poles for the stadium track.
Yeah.
We had you've ridden it in the night.
Yeah. With the Pramac towers.
With the Pramac towers, but they've still got them at home, but it's not good to leave an engine out in the paddock for the whole year and then expect to come home and everything will just fire up. So working on a more permanent sort of setup. I've got all the lights there. I've had them there for just a bit over a year now. Brand new LEDs ready to go, like these massive stadium lights.
That's gonna be sick.
I've got all the electricity hooked back up. Everything's ready to go. I'm just waiting on the poles, but I think we've got the poles sorted now. The boys are starting to drop them off. Jake ended up having to hook me up with that one, but he's done me a solid. Frank was on it, but it was one of those ones I waited a year and we still hadn't got any poles. But especially in summer, it's just ridiculous.
You just can't ride.
No, you can't. Literally, we've been riding a little bit in the morning, or a little bit, last sort of hour of daylight is the only time you can do it. And then the whole time, like I'm watering at 5 a.m, I'll go down there, put water on, go and train. And then sort of just before lunchtime, flood it again. And then flood it. You're just constantly trying to keep water into it because it's just that hot. And it disappears real quick. So, no, we've got it pretty well set up there now for that. And then, it's going to make retirement a lot of fun, but also, Maggie's got the two boys and
I know,
and Pip.
they're going to be...
I'm more worried about Pip. I reckon Pip will have them, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, she's pretty gnarly as it is.
She's
already.
A little savage, eh? She's a
lunatic.
You guys got so lucky with like the world's happiest baby. It's wild, eh?
She's pretty happy majority of the time.
Dude.
I mean, she don't really kick up a fuss, and I mean the poor thing, she gets dragged. Poor thing, I say it like that, but she gets dragged around the world. But she gets to go to some pretty cool places. But I mean, flying with a 1-year-old is probably a lot of people's worst nightmare, and she's phenomenal on the airplane.
What do you reckon it is?
I don't know if it's because we just did it straight away. She didn't really get a chance to know any different. I think she came to Phillip Island when she was 5 weeks old, 6 weeks old. So, and then like she didn't go to the next one, but then Malaysia, straight up after that was Malaysia, Qatar, Valencia. So then she was back to Europe, and then after Valencia, I mean, she was not even 3 months old, and like we were snowed in an airport in Munich. Like, and it's just what it is. Like Ruby literally got to a point, it was like 2 a.m. We were trying to, like, no taxis, nobody, like it was the whole airport got shut down. And Ruby was like, I'm done. I'm just laid down. So her and Pip were just kipped on the floor, and I'm in like a hoodie because we had no intention of going to Austria before flying home. Like we were going to Valencia and going home. So I had my hoodie on, that was it. And it's like the biggest,
Proper cold.
like the most snow I think I've ever seen in my life.
No way.
Like the taxis were hitting there was like a arm to come into like the taxi rank, and there was like the ruts, and like every one of them would get into the ruts, but the rut kind of like was making them all slide into the actual operating arm.
Dude.
Yeah, it was nuts. But she's done it from such an early age that she's sort of null and void now. I mean, we've had a couple of rough ones where she's been like kids. They get crook all the time.
Yeah.
So when she's got a bit of a fever or something like that, but it's like anything. I mean, whether you're on an airplane or you're at home, they're just,
it still
it
sucks
just
if
sucks
you're
if
sick,
they're sick.
yeah.
Exactly. So, no, it's easy.
Did you see we got stuck in that Dubai storm last year?
Did ya?
Did you?
What was
you know
it?
that one?
No.
Did you not see the?
Was it like the flooding or something like that? Yeah, right.
Bro, it was.
Yeah, but it's normal there. I mean, they don't. It's not built for rain, that joint, is it?
No, dude. So it was like the day before. It was actually the funniest shit. I had to like open a bank account and all this shit. So I'm like I had to drive the day before we flew out to this bank, sign all the paperwork and all this shit. I'm in like this tiny, like I let Anna book everything. She got like the cheapest, tiniest rental car you've ever. It was a Ford Fuego, bro.
Yeah, right. And then you're there in the Middle East with all the young tanks that are just massive.
It was, we're going through, and I'm like, I had to drive to like Sharjah, the next one over. And dude, the fucking water's coming up to like the side mirrors on the car. I ended up like parking the car backwards on an overpass because it wouldn't flood. And then walked down to the bank, walked back to the car.
But the bank was still open.
Yeah, bro. It was insane.
Bank goes shut.
The next day, we just got to the airport. I was like, it's because it was a toss-up. Do you not go to the airport and just miss your flight and then like go through the process of rebooking and all that shit?
All that stuff.
Or do you just tough it out at the airport, you know? And yeah, we got to the airport it was everything was flooding.
Yeah, right.
No one was getting in or out. And then we basically just commandeered the Emirates lounge and just made like one thing into our bunk. And we were there for 3 days.
No way.
Yeah, bro.
At the airport?
Yeah, there were like baggage cars like floating down. Like you look out the window. And
like a boat just
yeah,
going
bro,
past.
for real.
Ours wasn't that bad. Like literally as soon as they said, like, because we checked our bags in, like it's snowing, like we've come from the training thing in Austria, and then got there and like it snowed the whole way, and the guy's like, it's a lot of snow, whatever, and I'm like, yeah. Get to the airport, you think, these guys are built for it, you know what I mean? So I get to the airport, checked in, and then literally the bags, I'm watching them go, and the lady goes, oh yeah, the plane still hasn't arrived yet. We don't know if it'll go. I'm like, well, can I have my belt? No, they're gone now. So I'm like, what do you mean? You stop the belt. No, they're gone already. It's like, why did you let us check in then? Like, you should have said something before. It was literally because we were like going to go through passport control. I'm like, well, we can't get our bags. We'll just go through passport control, get something to eat. So we went up to the lounge. And then I feel like we got the early jump in the lounge. Like they told us like they're shutting this place down sort of thing. So I'm like straight on hotels.com finding a hotel because literally like everything was just getting sold out straight away, like from all the airline companies or whatever. So we got that, but then I couldn't get there because there was no way, like I rented cars where everything was shut. It was a nightmare. All the roads were closed and it was just a debacle. And then at the end of the day, like their bags were stuck there.
With a, 2-month-old?
Yeah. And our bags were stuck there. We like had no milk, no nothing. Like we're trying to buy what we could. I'm on the phone. Well, Tommy's on the phone and he managed to get us a driver that like picked up a car seat and we had to drive to Frankfurt. So the Sheila come pick us up the next day and drive us to Frankfurt. No bags. So I was like, they'll sort that out later. I'm not waiting around for them. Like it's just going to get worse.
What a nightmare, bro.
Got to Frankfurt, got back to Australia, and then I finally sorted it. Once I got home, I like start calling Emirates, trying to sort out where our bags were. But the airport was shut for like 4 days. I'm like, there was no chance of getting your bags back. I'm like, nah, we'll get them later. Don't worry about it.
Dude, that is nuts.
I just want to get home.
Yeah, get me to Gunflow.
I should be home already.
Yeah, right now. Dude, look up the Dubai flood 2024. Just Google it. It is crazy, bro. Just go to images. Can't believe you didn't see some of it.
Yeah, I'm behind on all that sort of stuff.
I respect your lack of phone use. You're like one of the friends that I have that I just can't. I don't have expectations of a response.
I like it
at all. I saw you called before, and I was like, oh, that's because I got the nice photo of you and stuff on the contact. I was
thinking, I hope he's still got the same number. I'm like, use FaceTime actually, because then I knew it'd like jump to whatever if you change your number or not. I'm like, oh, it'll be all right. But yeah, I don't get around phones too much.
I like it. You're just doing shit. You're old school. You're old school.
Exactly.
You're not a scroller.
The worst thing, honestly, is like when Ruby and I are apart, then I'm on the phone flat, you know what I mean? And then I find myself, like, when you're texting or whatever, I find myself, I'll jump off a text, and then while I'm waiting for it to respond, you end up scrolling, and you just find yourself in a mindless scroll hole. And I'm like, there's so many more important things that I could be doing on this phone, but I'm not. I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing, choosing to do at this time rather than replying to an email or doing whatever. So I just try to put it down rather than do the things that I'm supposed to do.
Well, it's one of those things though, you get pissed off at, like if Sam never replied to me on a text, I'd be pissed.
You'd be worried. Or you'd be probably worried if he's like upset with you or something like that.
I'd just be, because I know he's got his phone.
Yeah, right.
And I know he's using his phone.
Yeah.
I know you're not using your phone.
The funny thing with phones, you
haven't even had one for how long?
I ended up losing it at Christmas, and the worst thing was I swapped to like having the wallet on the back of the phone, but then we went to New Zealand, and New Zealand's like my place. I put the phone down, I don't touch it. But I put it down on like day one, down in the shed, wherever. I took it out of my pocket and flicked it before we were going to the beach or whatever. And then on like day 3, I'm like, oh, I need to go to town and get some stuff, some fuel for the boat and whatever. So I'm looking for my phone, but by that time the phone's gone flat, so I can't
find my phone,
find my iPhone or anything like that. And I think one of the kids has like picked it up or whatever because they were all running around there and pegged it in a garden. So here, my Nema's got like these beautiful gardens. It's set up like a bloody hotel. And I'm like going through all these gardens looking for the phone. Oh, it's gone. And like everybody at the house was like way more concerned than I was that my phone was gone. I'm like, what are you going to do? It's gone now. There's nothing we could do. But it was more so about my cards that pissed me off more than anything. But when I go back to home, I think my screen time's about 15 minutes of the day.
It's aspirational. I aspire to do it. I did clip the Instagram on the phone.
Did you?
Yeah.
Clipped it?
Just do it on the browser. Sometimes if I have to download and do something, I'll do it. But
I like it.
It's been going strong for the year.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. It is one of those things, and like I said, I notice it when I'm not a part. It's definitely addictive, and it's something that like your mind, like you just might like don't even think about it, and you press it.
Yeah,
and that for me is I don't like that feeling. I have
big red flag. So you got your YZ450.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, pretty into the thing.
Loving it. Like
I was very excited when you said that you were going to Yamaha. I was like, bro, you're just going to be so pumped on the motocross bike now.
It's so good. Like, coming back. So the stadium tracks, like Josh, the way he set it up, was like a step on, step off from the inside. But then like there's like a little roller beforehand. But then on the outside, it's probably like a 5 foot. And you can almost go to the backside of the tabletop. So it ends up being like a 3 basically.
Yeah.
And like standard stock suspension, and it was not prepped at all. This was just after all that rain. I had Heath at home, and I was like, "You reckon I can do it? Like out of that corner?" Like I hadn't even rode the stadium track since Josh had prepped, reshaped everything and done everything. Because I sort of set it up for the Pee-wee so that they could ride around, so they could actually roll over everything as well. So everything's big, but it's all rounded nicely. But he made like stuff like that, so you can still actually have a crack. I was like, second out of the corner, I'll just hit it. And I hit it first lap, and I made it pretty easy. Or semi-easy. And then second lap, nailed it. Third lap, I come and I put the pegs in the bike. Like I swapped to titanium pegs, just grip the sharper pegs. And I put them in. I put the springs on the wrong side. So when I've gone in the berm, the springs hit, but like your full commitment from the berm. As soon as you hit the berm, your full commitment, and there's a lot of seat to get there. And yeah, as I come out of the corner, I've like gone for the peg, and the peg's not there.
No.
Because it's like wedged itself up. So I'm like 1-footed. I'd already, the gun had gone off. There was no backing out of it. So I had to like put it into it. And she's kind of like, with all the weight on one peg, she's kind of gone like that. And I found the peg in the air. And as I landed, I'm like, sort of clipped the back wheel on the top, but it like pulled straight. And I was so spun out with how the controllers like around where your ankles sit on the bike.
Yeah.
That really spun me out. And also being on stock suspension, just how forgiving it was.
Yeah, they're pretty.
I'm happy with it, honestly. Like, and, it's debatable between the factory stuff. Like, I just rode the factory stuff, just how Technical Touch had sent it to me the other day. And Frank had done like two different setups, let's say 2 tweaks.
Yeah.
To the standard forks, and they're chalk and cheese, honestly. Like,
really?
Yeah,
So
I'm almost regretting having four sets now, but at least my 125 will have factory forks in it as well. So
that is wild. So they're pretty comparable.
Honestly, and like the cartridge that's in the standard forks now is almost better than what's in the factory stuff, because I think they're like a 24mm cartridge in the standard in the factory stuff, and they're a 25mm cartridge in the standard stuff now.
Yeah, right. What have you done anything else?
Don't quote me; it could be wrong, but I know it's around those numbers, something like that.
Yeah. What else have you done to it?
Just the normal stuff. Pipe.
What pipe did you use?
I went PC.
Yeah.
Just because something different.
Yeah.
JB had the PC on his, and it's pretty naughty. I want to, hopefully while we're out here, I'm trying to get the blue carbon tip.
Yeah.
For it, the factory tip that they do. But I cannot for the life of me find it in Australia. And then I try to
You got Mitch's number?
I don't.
Oh, we'll figure it out.
I know Mitch. I know Mitch,
out.
but yeah, as you know, with phones, I'm not the greatest. But I tried to work out their website, and honestly, it's like somebody developed it on Windows 98.
Bro, you just need to do the Mitch phone call.
Yeah. I just
be
need
like,
a couple
hey
of those end
mate,
caps.
my name's Jack Miller.
Straight on MX store.
Yeah.
Ordered me pipe, and I put the high flow filter cage, and then Frank had some other trick bits there for it, just like the carbon intake and stuff like that. They're just pretty basic at the minute. We'll that one there, I bought that for, it'll be a dirt track bike eventually. Yeah. So once I'm done riding it, sort of this part, we'll strip it and bomb the eyeballs out of it.
Run it on methanol.
Put it on meth. Nah, we won't. I don't reckon we need meth. We've gone away from the meth, honestly. I did that one bike with methanol. Like, it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
It wasn't worth the hassle. Like, just the meth, the way it puts the power into the 450s, even with the drop pipe and stuff like that, it's just really hard to keep the things hooked up or keep traction into them. They're really peaky off the bottom. There's like your race fuel, ETS, that sort of thing seems to go better. And we're not that far away. I mean, you get like 3 horsepower, 2 to 3 horsepower with meth, but it just sounds cool to say.
I know, I was going to say, it just kind of sounds good though, right?
And I mean, when you start it up, it starts making you cry. You think, what's going on here?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I can see that bike being pretty sick for flat track.
No, like we raced North Brizzy again this year, which was pretty epic. We had a heap of Yanks come over this year, which was really good.
Yeah, was Cody Kopp there?
Cody come, Dallas Daniels, obviously Draney, and Whaley. So boys that are winning in AFT were over there, and it was cool. Like Draney, the last 2 years have been really quick on the Yami, and I was looking at his and thinking, what can we do to ours? But I think we've got something pretty special. It'll come out pretty naughty. But it looks good. Like, we've got the last 2, obviously the KTM's hung up now at home.
Yeah.
But Cody said, I think he rode the Stark this year.
Oh, where at?
At North Brisbane.
Really?
He rode the Stark.
Find it on his Insta, Cody Kopp.
Because he's riding for Rick Ware now here.
Yeah, right.
And but they wanted him to ride the Stark, but it was honestly a rocket ship in the shootout, the one lap. But I think he ended up pulling out. Like, he went from he was like the last qualifier for the shootout, because they did like a 1 lap dash.
Yeah.
And he was like the last qualifier for that. And like, he went through nearly everybody till like 3 to go. and then it started getting hot. The thing was, it just kept getting hot. That was the biggest thing when he
was it hot outside?
Yeah,
like it was actually hot
yeah.
there. Yeah, so he was cooking it.
He was cooking it. Yeah, there it is. There.
No shit, that's sick, dude.
There it is.
They would be a fucking weapon on the flat track. That's sick.
It was really fast. But yeah, the biggest thing was it was really humid. Honestly, it felt like bloody.
Felt like home.
Townsville when we were down there for that. But no, it was cool to have those boys there. And Cody had a ball. And he ended up riding some clapped out old 125 because I did the 125 Cup again.
Yeah.
Which was sick. And like everyone loves the 125 Cup. So he said, like obviously everyone knew that I wasn't going to be coming back on that bike this year. And at the end of the race, or end of the meet, he kind of said, you know, I'll come back next year if I can ride your bike. I said, absolutely. I said, you can have the 125 too. It'll be there. So we're not getting rid of them. So they're just sitting at home waiting for him next year.
That's awesome, dude. I love that I feel like you have put a massive effort into the Aussie flat track scene over the last few years. And then even with Frank doing all the builds for Pete, like it feels like the flat track scene's kind of got a bit of momentum.
It's definitely got a bit of momentum. It's always going to be smaller than everything else, you know, in terms of
it's
globally.
pretty niche, yeah.
But I think it's got its place there in Australia, and I think it produces some phenomenal riders. And it's honestly unreal to watch.
Yeah, it is good that weekend.
But no, I mean, I try to do what I can. You know, it's awesome. I mean, they make it tough sometimes. This year was a fucking nightmare. Some dickhead protested an Australian title against Cade, my mate, who had 250 numbers on a 450 or vice versa. I can't remember exactly he had the wrong coloured background on his bike. There was nothing illegal with the bike, and they took the Aussie Championship off him. So then we get to this race, and we've just spent X amount of dollars building these bikes up. Cody had the number one in the American flag, like that, like Evil Knievel, like that's what Rick Ware wanted. So his bike had that, and then they're like, get there on the Friday before, and they're like, oh, everybody has to have blue numbers, blue background, white number for 450 rules. Like we've gone, like they were trying to do their best, but it's just so fucking political. And I said to him, I said, you know, we do this out of the kindness of our heart. Like we don't have to be here. I said, my season's done. I'm doing this.
I could be chilling.
I do this because I enjoy it, and it's a great weekend away. I said, you guys are fucking making it very, very hard to enjoy it when you do shit like this. I said, like, we build these cool bikes and we spend all this money so that people can come. They get in the pits for free. They look at the bikes. They say good day, and it looks cool.
Yeah.
Why make it hard? I said, don't score us. I don't give a shit what we do here. I said, but at the end of the day, mine's going out with those stickers on it tomorrow. Like, it's just... Sometimes it's just tough.
It's just like get out of your own way.
Yeah,
like don't make it this.
Let us
hard.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
And you guys, that is the show. You guys will be able to, you know, I'd love to know what it does for the club. I don't care. That's what I like to do.
Yeah.
I've never taken the prize money. It goes back to the club as
really?
No, never. For what? You're going to take $1,500 from a local dirt track club. I said I'd rather give it to the Pee-wees. I say pay the Pee-wees club membership for a year, whatever. Do something like that to try and help the little that I can. You know, it's cool. And when you know the boys, like that was more Whaley and Draney that brought those boys over this year and made that happen. So a massive tip of the hat to those boys because I get a lot of the credit for it. But at the end of the day, those boys, you know, are the ones over here talking to those guys about it and saying, hey, come and do this.
Yeah.
It's a really cool event. And I think the boys thoroughly enjoyed it last year. Like they all came over, went to Melbourne for Supercross and then got to race their bikes at the same time. So they made a bit of a trip out of it. And, you know, they're all 20 to 25.
They're living.
They're at that stage where they need to be doing that sort of stuff, going out and
carrying on.
Yeah, exactly. Doing what boys should be doing at that age.
Yeah. No, but it's cool. Like it's definitely, I mean, you put it on the radar for me. I didn't know about it before the first time I guess a few years ago that you went and did it.
No, it was cool. And like even in the final last year, like it was another one you've seen the wall ride there. Yeah. It happens every year. And they were like, oh, you can't ride the wall. Yeah, if you ride the wall, you'll be disqualified.
Really?
So all day, none of us rode the wall. Final come, I was like I didn't ride the wall, but I was hitting the dirt on the edge of the wall. And then as soon as Drainey seen it, he's like, we're all into it. We're all on the same line. It was cool. Like, it was the one and all in. So it was good.
Have you got any footage on your Instagram of that? Did you
I
just
don't
film
even
it?
think so, no.
Oh, it's so
Nothing.
sick. Oh, well, people should look up the
We've done some stuff. You've done some stuff there.
yeah, it's pretty sick. Is flat track the most fun racing?
I
Of all
think
the
so.
racing
Honestly,
that you do?
you know what's the most fun is flat track on the 125s.
That's the most fun.
Yeah, because those 450s are bloody fire-breathing monsters.
Yeah, you have to respect that
Yeah,
bike.
whereas with the 125, you like can run it from the outside straight to the pole line on the inside and chop somebody's nose off, but then you can sort of slide out and the other guy can cut back. So the racing, everything's a lot slower. So everything happens in you like trying to just keep it not too much slide, not too little slide. You know, you're just walking that fine line, which is fun, and you're up and down the gearbox flat.
Oh, that's the big
That's
girl.
that's the big girl. That's what last year, the year before.
Yeah, I forget all the years.
So that's but that's the one I rode. I ended up riding that bike in Toowoomba as well.
Is that the same bike that you race at Toowoomba?
Yeah, that was
So you just converted it
pretty much
basically back.
put motocross suspension in and a little bit of a softer mat, but the engine was the same. It was probably a little bit strong.
Did you
Toowoomba.
regret that engine package?
I mean, it
choice?
was good. It was good from the start, but it was pretty hectic at Toowoomba, but it was cool. And you know, at least the bike is sitting at the bar at home, and she's got some pretty cool stories about it.
That's
bike.
a sick bike. She's done a bit. She's had a bit on.
It's exactly. It's done a little bit, so that's pretty cool to have that one at the bar, and then the original ones hanging up in the shed. We're running out of places to put them, so they've started ending up
Just
in the
gonna need a
bar
bigger
now.
shed.
I know.
Close.
It's on the
Where would you put it?
other side back towards the road, I think.
Yeah.
You know, like hay paddock, the hay paddock a little bit. But the old man's building another shed. They're knocking down the one near their joint because I don't know how it survived the last cyclone. That's like the original building on the property, and like some of the poles where like the poles go into the concrete have like rusted through, and I do not know how it survived the last cyclone, but it did.
Oh, that's awesome.
So they're gonna, and then that'll change it so it's all blue like the rest of the buildings on the property, and at least I'll be able to park my boat in that one because at the moment my boat's parked outside or at Jeff's in the helicopter hangar because I can't fit it anywhere else.
That's awesome. So how much does flat track help with MotoGP? Is there like much crossover? Is that the thing that translates the most?
I think it translates a little. I wouldn't say it translates the most. I mean, at the end of the day, it's braking late and opening early, but you've also got to pick lines and it's, you know, in that sense of the matter, I mean, you're kind of chasing the dirt, so that brings it more to like a motocross style. But then other tracks where it's, you know, kind of blue groove and you're kind of trying to nurse it, then I would say it's more like your road racing where you're trying to keep the bike in, let's say, the ultimate grip window where it's spin versus drive and you're trying not to overspin basically. And definitely it's the closest thing that comes to it. Like I enjoy that probably more than going and riding a superbike or something like that because it's almost too close but not close enough, let's say. Like the superbike, you can start to learn bad habits and stuff like that because it's close enough that some of the stuff translates over, and let's say a bad habit that you'll pick up on a superbike, you'll then bring that back when you get back on the GP bike.
Because there's a bit the electronics and there's like all
and
the...
just the way you pick the bike up and throttle response and just in general riding, like you just got to ride a superbike, or especially a standard one like we use for training. You ride them quite differently. They're a bit like a lounge chair. They're quite soft. They don't do everything takes a bit of a delay, so you kind of anticipate corners a bit more than let's say the Grand Prix bike.
Yeah, and so the dirt track stuff's a little bit more raw, a bit more manual.
Yeah, it's kind of out there away, so it's not, let's say, imposing on what you're doing here, which is riding a MotoGP bike, but you're picking up, let's say, traits and stuff like that.
You're training like attributes.
Exactly. So that you kind of pick that up and I think it's fantastic. And I think in terms of bike control and stuff like that, you can't beat it.
It's so
for me,
underrated,
I'm somebody that I don't think there's a set way. There's a bit of everything. You got to be able to do everything well, I think, and whether that be motocross, dirt track, super motard, whatever you can get your hands on, essentially, go and ride it.
Yeah, something's going to translate
trials
into
bikes, I mean, all of it. It all helps. It's all, that's like motor skills, basically, that you're learning.
Yeah.
That are going to make you a better rider, whether it be on whatever sport you're doing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was super cool. A few years ago, I had JB come and do a day in Spain when he was still riding over there. He came and did a day. Like, it was sort of the end of COVID kind of thing, but we were all kind of locked over there still, and the Husky boys were all doing their preseason camp in Barcelona or in Spain.
Yeah.
So one day we were doing moto, and I said, I'm going to do dirt track tomorrow. I said, the boys will have a spare bike at the workshop, and it's a Husky. I said, come and ride. And he come and rode. He loved it. Like, it was so weird for him to sort of first of all, sit
different.
down the whole time.
Yeah.
It's always the hard thing for him. It's just like sitting down the whole time. But I think, he thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, he had a ball that day. And I mean, it was there with like some heavy hitters, like all the Grand Prix boys are basically there. It was like a Thursday or something like that. And they all go there on a Thursday at Rocco's. And like, he had a ball. And I think, in terms of roll speed and stuff like that, I think it's fantastic because what he, it's hard to say if it helps or not, but, just doing stuff different like that and you feel the tires and stuff like that, it's got to have some effect on how you then ride that other bike, and understand how fast you can go through certain corners and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it just would be like, there's a attribute of like throttle control.
Exactly.
And it's like a throttle control on a GP bike or a motocross bike, and like you said, grip versus spin. It's almost like with dirt track, you're just stripping back all of the elements of, like circuit racing. And it's like, it's just this and this, like traction versus
But that was the
throttle
cool
versus
thing.
grip.
Cool thing with JB when he came and rode was like a lot of the road riders were, sliding the thing massively, whereas Jed was like two wheels in line, really just getting that roll speed going and probably didn't look as fast, but he was going as fast as everybody else. But the thing looked
wild,
tiny as. It was so cool.
Yeah, that's crazy that he could just pick it up. So
he was, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're a good, especially a motocross rider, I believe you can pick up most things pretty quick.
Could you believe the speed him and Kyle were going at Toowoomba?
No, still can't. And I tell him to this day, like, he come past me in Moto 2, lapping me, and went, you. And, like, literally, it was down the hill at the top. Like, we jumped down the hill.
Way.
And he's like, you. And the next corner, handlebars are on the ground. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, I still, to this day, don't know how to go through those ruts. Like, I didn't understand what they were doing differently or how they were keeping their feet on the pegs because, like, I'd nail it or feel like you were nailing a corner. As soon as the bike would load into the rut, my feet were getting blown out the back. My outside foot, because the rut's curled over that far, were just getting peeled out the back. And I'm like, end up coming out the corner with both feet hanging off the back. It was gnarly. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a motocross track like that in my life. And it was epic. Like, I'm stoked that I did it, and I would do it tomorrow in a heartbeat. I'd love to go back.
It was wild how gnarly that track was.
I've never been there before, and everyone's
I can't believe that was the one you picked to do.
It was the only one I could do. It was the only one that lined up, but it was cool. It was cool. Like that, Conondale, like I've now ridden two tracks I've never ridden in my, like in junior, let's say junior years.
Yeah, that's crazy that you didn't ride Toowoomba as a junior.
Yeah.
Did you not do the Sunnies much?
No, not really.
Okay.
We sort of did Queenslands and stuff up home. And then like between that and dirt track, we were already in the car every weekend. So, I mean, we didn't really have too much time to do the Sunnies as well. I mean, we did what we could. But
no, that makes sense.
Yeah, that one, I just never went there.
Fuck. Pull up. We got the video. We just got to show people what we're talking about. So Jack just decides in his little... It wasn't even a break, bro. This was like heavily mid-season.
It was 2 weeks break. So it was 1 weekend free.
Basically,
I didn't tell anybody.
Knows that you're not signing with KTM for 2025. So you went, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and race a national.
Yeah. Well, I always wanted to do it, and that one lined up, and I saw it was on the break, and then, like you say, yeah, we weren't re-signing. So, I mean, what was it going to do?
Better ask for forgiveness and
story of my
permission.
life. So
fast forward a little bit. And it was freezing, bro.
Fuck, it was cold.
That was one of the coldest days I've had in a long time.
Yeah.
I just didn't get warm the whole day.
Like that wind would just blow straight through you.
So Jack goes out, and this is what would be like the US equivalent to this track. There is none. This is a very, hey? Maybe like if Washougal and Unadilla had
I don't
a
think I've
baby.
ever seen a hill that steep on a motocross track. Maybe Glen Helen, but then Glen Helen doesn't rut on the hills.
Nah. Yeah, it's like Glen Helen's steepness hills, but
then
with like Unadilla straight ruts.
ruts the whole way down. And then it's got a jump in it. Like you just go. Like,
Would be like the Millville Hill with just straight ruts down it.
I just couldn't get over the elevation and all that. It was
just a crazy first time
track. The quality of the dirt, like how good the dirt was really cool. But then like how the ruts formed was ridiculous.
Yeah, so there was basically nowhere that you could go on the track.
I've said it before, but I was like 3 minutes from the end of the first moto, and like it was one of the hairpin corners in the center, and I went into it and I thought, like, I'm looking at the ruts, which I'm already in one anyway, but I thought, not one of these look good. Like, I wouldn't pick one of these ever. And like, I just got to wheel into one of these to see how it goes. But I mean, you just have a massive respect for those boys and how they do it. It's, you know, I'm a fan of the sport. So that's for me to be able to at least go out there and ride on the same track and do 2 motos on that sort of condition was awesome, man.
I think you did
minute
good.
Of it. Nah.
I think you did real good. Like, just considering this is Moto 2 now, and the track by this time, not a great start.
Nah, it was terrible, but we did the pracky start before, and we went to the...
You used up the good one?
No, we went to the medium tyre, and Big Black Betty there, she lit up off the grate right next, and I had Meddy next to me, and like Frank was with Meddy, and like I did my pracky start, and it lit up on the mesh, and Meddy goes, I've never seen a bike do that before. And I'm like, oh, dear, I'm going to have to go nurse this next one. Like, I even spun the tyre a little bit and all, but I must have just been a bit heavy on the clutch or whatever. But she lit up on the mesh.
That's wild because that doesn't normally happen.
Down.
But yeah, so this was...
Yeah, they weren't happy with me, but...
why not? Oh, KTM.
Yeah, because I mean...
Oh, yeah, what was
I didn't announce anything until... I asked the series when I nommed... to not announce anything till like the Friday before. Yeah. And I just put my phone in the toolbox and that was it. I dealt with the fallout after.
What was the fallout?
Nah, not much.
Well,
I mean, at the end of the day, when you're fine,
yeah,
it's the other, you know, let's say if the coin landed on the other side and you're not fine, then there's fallout.
You got some hard conversations.
But, you know, it's a risk you're willing to take.
It was pretty sick to see. And it's pretty cool because I feel like on any other track, maybe not any other track, because the Aussie Nationals, we were talking about this the other day, like the tracks are small.
I mean, Webster, they went and won Des
Nations. Yeah. The level at the front of that field
it's ridiculous.
Is very, very high. And
JB, if JB went
to Europe
with the right, well, he was there and was winning Grand Prix in 250 and then, you know, got shafted when he went up to 450 by the team and getting injured. And let's say the classic narrative of motocross, you know, it's a rough sport. But
yeah.
He got shafted with the age limit where he needed, I wouldn't even say needed another year, but he had to go up.
Well, he needed another year to wait for the right deal.
For the right ride, exactly. But he had to kind
yeah.
of take what was on offer, which wasn't the best, and then went up and then went good in the first race and then got injured and then was riding the rest of the year injured.
With literally a broken shoulder.
Yeah. And not to mention other stuff going on behind the scenes. It's you know, I know how good he can ride and I know what he's capable of. And even when he went, what was it, 2 years ago, he went to,
Here.
Was it South?
No, he did Washougal.
Washougal, was it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was on a stock
bike.
and he drove there.
He drove there in a van.
Him and Benny just drove themselves there, bro.
Like that's nuts. And I know for a fact if he'd come over and did some testing and sort of knew what he was doing, not knew what he was doing, but knew the competition, everything's fresh. Like these guys have been racing each other for, at that point, nearly 30 rounds by then.
Yeah.
They're
Pretty
well and truly locked in, and he's just come over and was coming to do some suspension testing and thought, we should go race this weekend. So, I mean, I know for a fact how good he can go. And, I mean, the guy got on the podium at OzX.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's the other thing that's
not racing
crazy.
Supercross in...
Ever.
Well, he did a little bit on 250 back home, but never to that level,
Yeah, so the level at home is insanely high. And I think that the tracks at home get especially rough because they're quite small, realistically.
Yeah.
And then they're doing, it's not like the AMA where it's basically just the two classes. Like they've got the development class as well. Sometimes they'll have juniors and shit. So it's like those tracks get beat to shit. But you're a really good rider. And to see, it's a pretty gnarly look at how good those guys are because you're way above average.
Yeah.
As a motocross rider, and the level on those tracks, national pace, national prep, like.
But that's what those guys forte. I mean, they don't get paid on the smooth days. They get paid on the rough days. I mean, I've been around and ridden enough, with very fast guys, whether it be Jeffrey or Tony and stuff like that in Holland. When I go and ride in Holland, you try and... It was good when JB was there because I'd just tag along to wherever the MXGP boys were going. So you go to these tracks and pretty much I was the only non-MXGP or MX2 rider on track. But, I get there at 9 o'clock, or most of the 250 boys as well would get there when the track opens. But you see Tony and Febra and all those boys.
At the end.
They don't start riding until after lunch when the track's knackered. They don't even turn a wheel until it's ready to go, and then you get out there and, like, you just stand on the fence and you're watching, with your mouth open, like, how are they doing that?
It's crazy, dude.
That's when they, those guys, the speed doesn't go down. It just stays the same.
But, yeah, it was just very cool to watch you in that environment and, knowing how good you are, especially, like, I've been on the same track as you. So, like, it was just really cool to see that. I think you did really well, but also just how gnarly.
How much I struggled.
The level is just, you're fully in that world. Like, you could never get your track at home that rough, ever.
No way.
Like, not possible.
No. And I've thought of ways. But yeah, there's no way you could replicate that. I mean, that's just phenomenal. Like you say, I think it's the weather, it's that dirt. It's just like you walk around that track and stuff. Like we went and did track walk, and they're like, you need to bring work boots for track walk, and you end up with like a platform shoe by the end of about 6 steps because it just sticks. That's just phenomenal.
So what was the response through like the paddock and stuff at the end of it? Did people like take it seriously or
not really? No, I didn't really hear all that much about it. It was just sort of been and gone. It was just one of those things. But it's cool for me. I mean, I've done a national now, and I want to do another one. I've told Yamaha and stuff like that. That's, I did one last year. You use that as like a way in. But no, I definitely would like to go back and do another one. But it's cool to, let's say, race at the top level in Australia in motocross and dirt track and superbike.
Yeah.
And we'll keep ticking off some more things off the list.
Oh, the superbike that weekend at the Bend changed my life.
Yeah, you haven't been the same since.
No, I'm so...
People, I can't remember who I was talking about it the other day, literally, about... I might have been watching something of yours, and you were talking about it.
Yeah, I've spoken about it so many times.
And Thomas was asking me about, like, we actually into it? And I said, bro, I was into it. When I say, like, I was full commitment, ready to go. We were hanging off it, but it was good.
That's one of those ones where it's like, we didn't crash, so it's fine.
Yeah, it was good. It was good, but I was giving it some.
Bro, it was one of the coolest experiences of my life, hands down. But in the context of, like, you honestly did me a favor. because you could never get to feel that
Yeah.
in life. You know what I mean?
You were a good passenger as well, in the sense that, like, I was able to really stretch the legs on the thing because you were, like, holding on and you weren't collapsing onto me. You were holding yourself up and doing all the right things. So it made it easier. And you weren't, like, trying to... Some people, when they get on the back, if they've done an awful lot of road riding, they try and hang off and do all these stupid things. And it's just like, no, sit in the center and just hang on, let me do the work, and we'll be right. Because you just add that... You know what it's like if you're doubling somebody on a scooter and they're doing too much.
Yeah, yeah.
So, no, it's it was cool. It was really cool. Like that especially that track as well. I think that track made it pretty fun. Like it was a good track for 2-ups with like some corners with camber, some decent straight. Like I mean, we had that thing stretched, and I mean, it wouldn't go any quicker.
Wouldn't go
we were
any
just doing,
faster.
like 278, something like that, and that was the aero. More than that was all that was. We were just hitting the windbreak basically because you were up so high. But that was it. Like, but I wasn't, let's say, over exaggerating things to try and scare you. I was just going fast. Like for me, I was trying to go fast.
Just trying to put it on.
Yeah, like because some people like when they do 2-up rides, they'll go super late on the brakes to try and frighten basically your passenger on the back.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're braking so late, or you're not going to make the corner or whatever. But my intention was to totally make that corner and get on it early to come out of the corner as well. So it was cool.
Dude, it was unreal. The arm pump I had as well was crazy. And there was one point, you know, you do like that triple apex right-hander. Bro, my leg come off. Like my inside leg slid off. And like as soon as it went back, we just started wheeling. And I like put my arm, I'm like trying to get my leg back on the thing, just da. And then like it went down just before the corner. Like it was fucking mental, bro. But it fully changed my perspective on MotoGP.
Yeah.
I could have never in my life appreciated what you guys do without that experience.
Yeah.
Because there's like, and this is what I say when I talk about it. I don't know how you find that level, because where we went to in terms of leaning and just how hard we were hitting these corners, I was like, that's not possible for most people to find that in their life.
Yeah.
Like that. And I've done track days, fucking drag your knee, all that shit. Not the same thing.
No.
Like this is the physics behind it. If you tried to explain it to me, I wouldn't have understood it.
No, definitely. And like even like you say, it's one of those things that still spins me out to this day, because like even with the Yami now, or Ducati or KTM in the past couple of years, since these wings have come to the side, or even the bikes have just changed a little bit. Like you finish the session or qualifying session or something like that where you put new bags in, especially qualifying's always one. But you come in and there's scratches on the fairings. Like the bike's touching the ground now, or you hear it, for example, in testing, and like end of the day, it's qualifying. You're throwing a tyre in when the track temp's going down and the times are coming back, it's qualifying. And in Malaysia, more, I could hear it, but you can hear it sometimes, you feel it sometimes. Sometimes you don't even know it's happened and it's there, but you come in and the fairing, like where the wings are all scratched up because the thing's touching the ground. And you like literally look at where that part is on the bike versus like when you lean the bike over, how far it's gone down to get there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And like even down to like where the knee sliders now sit on the leather suit, like how far around they are. Because like back in the day, they were up here because you're putting your knee out. Now the knee's nearly
tucked
the
all the
bike,
way in,
and
yeah.
You're just sort of tapping it like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was so insanely mind-blowing, and I wish people could get the opportunity to do it. Just to really, if you're a MotoGP fan, you know, just to like really feel that it's just the cornering, just where you get to. I would tell people it's like...
It's the eyes as well. I feel, for me, every time winter break's always one of those ones that get you because you go away, you don't touch. For me, I go back to Australia, I don't touch a bike, for example, this year. I didn't touch a bike from the last test in Barcelona, which was the last weekend or second last weekend in November.
Yeah.
Through till the first week of February. So you haven't done 300k an hour since then. And you get on the thing, and first of all, like, you got all those things going through your head. Like, I've been doing it for eons now, and still you get those things going through your head. Will I remember how to ride when I get back to it?
Am I going to be able to do this?
Yeah. Am I still going to be able to do, what I was doing 3 months ago, or 2 months ago? It feels like forever. But you get on the bike and your eyes are the first thing, always in Sepang. You go down the back straight, and I know just from doing copious amounts of laps there, like I've done a lot of kilometres around Sepang in my time. But you know exactly where the braking markers are. You know exactly where you're safe to pull up for the corner. You're not stretching it. You're not, braking early. So
There's a real good window.
Come out. Yeah, you got a good window there. But you come out of the corner, up the gears, and you're not even worried about ride height device or anything like that by that point. You're just worried about getting around the track. And then you go into the braking zone, and as soon as you sit up for the brakes, you think, there's no fucking way this thing's going to stop for the corner. Your eyes are just like all over the place. And it takes a good, I want to say first exit before your eyes adjust to that speed. And like you start seeing things in a different light, I guess you could say. Like it takes a good 5-6 laps before you really can adjust. And then it sort of comes back like muscle memory and you're good to go.
The eyes thing is what
And that for me, if we go to eyes, like I've done a little bit in go-karts and stuff like that. And for me, that's another step again.
Really?
The Formula One guys and that sort of thing. Because you're so low to the ground, because you're like, your corner speed's so high that your eyes are just working like those. And like if I go into go-karts, like in the 125 shifter car, you drove that one, like your eyes take a good couple of laps to really adjust to how quick things come in the corners and how quickly you get to the apex and how much corner speed you're taking.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wonder how much of like your ability to be a MotoGP rider comes down to just eyes, because so there's like pull up randomly, but pull up like the anatomy of eye muscles, like if you can. Because
I feel like my peripheral vision, what I can see is pretty good.
Yeah.
I want to say like I feel like I see a lot of stuff, especially in a car, especially on a bicycle, or if I ride my motorbike. I feel like I'm hyper aware a little bit of what's going on in my surroundings and what people are doing, especially if I'm focused on something. Like if I'm focused on what I'm doing, whether that be driving the car or riding a bike or on a bicycle or whatever, I feel like I can have a good peripheral vision. I can see a lot what's going around. And I think that definitely comes to like racing. Like you can see, feel, hear motorcycles passing you before you see the bike itself. Your sensors work and overload, and you know when a pass is coming. Yeah. And you try and do what you can to possibly avoid a block pass where they're going to hit you. Try and pull it up earlier to cut back, that sort of thing, especially nowadays because everything's so cut, like the limits aren't, there's no margin of error, per se. So we're all braking on the
you
mark.
guys are kind of right up against, it feels like every limit.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's where this change is going to be good in, 27?
The rule change.
Yeah. I think so. I think we're at that point now where
need something.
Yeah, it just needs a freshen up. I think, what was it? When I came in 2000, what was it? 2012. They went back to the thousands. Yeah. And then we slowly progressed and we had winglets and then we had the sharp ones for a bit. And then we weren't allowed them. And then they came out with these boxed ones. And now we've had them for quite a amount of time. But I think it's time they bugger off. And then also the ride height devices and stuff like that. We're at a point where everyone's got it and they're all working fantastic. So they can
get rid of it. Yeah, I was curious. I want to talk a bit more about that. Just like where you think it should maybe go. But so go to this bottom right one. See all those muscles there? Mm-hmm. I reckon that's like there has to be something in guys like you, Formula One guys. Like there has to be something going on where those muscles work better or are more developed, or that Like, I really think that there has to be something going on with the eyes at the top level, because I feel like my limit.
But even motocross, I think as well, like all forms of motorsports, I feel like, especially like when you are hyper focused, like you are in anything. In dirt track, you're looking at the amount of grains of dirt that are on the blue groove and not. I think it all comes down to, but it's a matter of feel as well. It's not, I wouldn't say it's only your eyes. It's what you're feeling, what you're seeing, anticipating, the way things sound, the way things smell. It's everything comes into it. And I think it's I don't think it's a unique thing. I think it's something that's trained. It's something that you learn. It's whether it be reading Braille or something like that, something that can be taught. I think that's the same thing. It just is a matter of time, logging laps, doing, all the shit that we've done our whole lives to get up to this point.
Yeah, because it has to be like a amalgamation of a lot of those things coming together, and then your brain's ability to actually process them at speed.
At speed, exactly. That's the biggest thing. It's more how quickly you take on board the information, I think, and that's something that gets better the better you get. That's what happens, is basically your way of processing the info gets better. Yeah,
because I feel like I reached the limit of what my eyes can see, and it's but it's way slower than you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's like I'm assuming that I'm experiencing the same thing as you.
Yeah,
there's a limit. Like I'm on a motocross track, and I'm just going too fast to clearly see everything. And then that kind of lets red flags go off in my head that I probably shouldn't go any faster. And then that's where my ceiling is, in a way.
I don't know if that's you personally. But for me, I mean, to a degree, you have those things go off. But in my mind, it's more of what can I do or change to then improve that, to go faster? What do I need to do in terms of body position? What do I need to do in terms of whatever, throttle, line selection, whatever it is? There is a way to go faster. I feel like in my mind, there's always a way to go faster.
Bro, I'm maxed out. Have you seen me? You've seen me, bro. Yeah. I can't go any faster.
But you can. You can. There's nothing to say that you can't. It's just I feel like some people's brains just have that protection mechanism.
Yeah.
Let's say where.
Yeah. But all right, this is a perfect example. Frank's just rejetted the RM125, and you got no helmet, no shoes, no nothing, and you ride into the paddock full of fucking knee-high grass, and that thing is 6 gear flat, 6 gear flat back. All my head thinks is rocks, logs, fucking.
In my brain, that's the way it goes, though.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just you have that switch, and I feel like
pussy.
That I wouldn't even say that. It's more of a protection, a survival thing, basically. And then there's dickheads like me that have snapped their body into pieces countless amounts of time. You don't know how many times I've fucking broken myself doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
That I shouldn't have been doing, or I could have very easily avoided. And now I'm laid up for 8 weeks with a cast on my leg or my arm or whatever, because you don't have that shut-off switch. But I feel like that's what makes me, you know. I think my brother's a clear example. He got that shut-off switch. He don't jump nothing.
The flightless bird.
He's a flightless bird, exactly. He's keeping both them wheels on the ground. But, I mean, same upbringing, same...
Yeah, same everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
And he just never had that thing that just made you turn the brain off. Like, he never had He broke a couple of bones, as you did, but it was more one of those things where it's more inevitable, I guess you could say, if you're racing motorbikes or something like that. It's going to happen, whether you like it or not. But
it's when, not if.
Yes, exactly. And, but nothing to the degree of myself or Maddie.
Yeah.
If we put you and Maddie together.
Yeah.
Very similar.
3 seconds a lap difference. Maybe more.
I think he was riding pretty good last time I saw. Right?
He was riding pretty good last time. Yeah. maybe a little bit more. No, it's just always fascinated me though, because there is there is just like there's limits. Like
There is.
everyone's got a kind of built-in limit, and then maybe there's a element of like, think about Jack doing in a go-kart. Just his whole life, so many laps, so much time. And while I think there's something to it as well, to where while your brain's still growing and while your brain's still developing, it's kind of like, I mean, how a brain works is you get these neurons that connect together and then they form a pathway in the brain. And it's like the circuitry that deals with speed and vision. Like you're obviously just like continually building and developing those pathways in your brain while you're developing.
Definitely.
And then maybe that's why you kind of see when you get to a certain age, you just kind of peak or flatten out a little bit in terms of that development, because there's no more brain development happening and the gains that you can make are more environmental, like on the outside, you know?
There's definitely some high up stuff there, you know, if we're talking, you know, the whole way that the human brain works. I think there's some crazy stuff that goes on there that I'm not even going to begin to try and scratch the surface on that.
Go on, Dr.
My
Jack.
grade 9 educator, you don't want to hear what I'm going to say. It's one of those things. And I think it's just, like you say, one of those things that for me, I can only speak from my experience. And for me, I grew up wanting to do that shit the whole time. And the thing that I enjoyed the most was getting on my bike, and whether it be going to the motocross track and riding, but we grew up with kilometers and kilometers, hundreds of kilometers of trails behind us. And I enjoyed that just as much because it was the fear of not knowing what was coming around the next corner. Whereas a big rock, washout, log, kangaroo, whatever it may be. But it was having that thought in the back of your brain at that point in time, but then pushing to it and just understanding that, okay, that is going to come, but when it comes in that moment, we're going to have to deal with it and try to do that sort of thing. I loved doing that sort of stuff as a kid, and that was...
And you were actually thinking about that as a kid?
Yeah, thinking about, like, you know it's going to happen. It's coming. Like, it's inevitable. There's going to be a rock. There's going to be a log. There's going to be a roo. Like, I mean, either side of the road's 6 foot in grass, and there's going to be something jump out at you. So, but you're pinning it, and you know that's coming. It's just how are you going to approach that situation when it arrives? What are you going to do to wheelie, do whatever you can try and do to brace yourself for whatever's going to come? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just cool that was the mentality that you had as I feel like you can't teach that mentality in a way. Like, I mean, maybe you can, but that was just obviously something you naturally
I love that. That was just something that I enjoyed doing. And it might be sick in the head. It may be, something's not wired up correctly.
Yeah, there's something wrong, but still good.
I'm not complaining about it. Yeah. It did all right. But, no, I mean, it was just for me, like, I think it's more, as a kid, it was more an imagination thing. For me, I wasn't riding through the sticks of Gumlo. I was in the Parry Dakar. I was in Fink doing whatever, in your mind. That's the sort of stuff you're playing as a kid through your head. You're talking to yourself in the helmet all while doing this. So I think that's one of the weird things that I used to do, and whether or not that played a part.
It would have for sure, bro. Like I've been around so many people that do what you do, or like in the greater, action sports like motorsports, but you're very unique in that mindset. And you're also, I don't know whether people would know this about you, but you're one of the most genuine people who loves motorcycles of any racer that I've ever met. Like, most people are doing everything they can to not ride when they don't have to, when they're being paid for it. But you're the exact opposite. Like, you want to ride 24/7, and I just don't think that there's that many people on a professional level that love it as much as you do.
No, I mean, I'm a special individual, that's for certain, in that sense that I do really enjoy riding a motorbike. I don't know why. It's just unexplainable. It's something I done since I was a kid. Like I said, we, come back to my brother, same everything. He was happy to go and play with his friends or go and do whatever, on any time we weren't at school. Where my thing was straight away get home and ride, whether it be, I was lucky, I had a lot of freedom as a kid, and let's say freedom, I was allowed to go and ride.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting into any trouble. I wasn't doing stupid shit. They knew I wasn't going to go up to the shops or do something stupid like that on the road. I was in the bush doing nothing. And like, we didn't have phones and stuff like that. Looking back on it now,
It's pretty crazy.
It's crazy, like, as I said, pinning it through the bush, not knowing what was going to happen. And I think that's sort of translated the whole way through my career, basically. And especially when I moved to Europe, that was the big shock for me, was like, I went from being on a farm, lots of space and motorbikes to ride, to having no motorbikes, no space, living in a caravan or a motorhome and traveling around. But at least we had the race bikes, and I had they were both standard 125s, but I'd go around at the end of all the races and take all the tires, the leftover tires from the teams. They'd leave them there for the circuit to dispose of. But I'd go through on my pushy and scoop them all up because they're all decent enough for me.
Yeah.
Put them in the trailer and we'd go to different tracks all over Europe. And they're, especially late winter or let's say spring, it's booming, especially throughout Spain for track days and stuff like that. For people from England or whatever escaping the cold, come down and ride. And, if you rock up there with your bikes and your tyres, and we were running pump gas, so it was easy. You pay like $50, $60, it might be more now. But that was you had probably like 4 or 5 sessions for the day, and they were like half-hour sessions. But just go and circulate, do laps, and that was where I get my fix. But I remember, like, you go 2 weeks at a time without touching a motorbike, and it was very weird for me.
That would have been wild, dude.
But no, I mean, and that's, I got to the point when I had motorbikes there and finally got a van. I remember dreaming about having a van at that point, or even when I sort of started in Moto3, just dreamt about having a van and a motocross bike to be able to go and ride. That was my only dream. And once I got it, and then, the toys got bigger, and I mean, now I'm able to do it. I mean, 2 years ago, not last year, year before, when Maddie came over, I mean, or even last year with Heath, all around Holland, especially. Maddie and I, I raced in Austria on Sunday. I did press, got in the car, got in the van, which I drove there with both motocross bikes in the back. Picked him up in Austria. He came for the race, and then I drove till 1 a.m. to Dorno Land. We got there at about 1:30, pulled up, slept. 7:30 we were up, had a coffee. Moto till like midday, and it was like 40 degrees, like 38 degrees at like 11 o'clock. And I was like, we like did our motos and rode, and we're like, I said, it's fucking hot here, eh? He reckons, yeah. Like, and they had a pool at the track. We were like swimming in the pool, cooling down. I said, fuck it, let's go to Holland. So like we drove whatever it was, like 1,000 from Austria to Italy. And we got in the car that night, or that afternoon. We literally got out the pool, dried off, got in the car and boosted it. Like through Switzerland. Like, I'd never been through Switzerland before. We'd never been through Switzerland before. I'm like, I don't know, do we have to buy a toll at this one or what? We drove through all the way to Tommy's house. I think we got there at like 3 or 4 in the morning and slept in. And then we went and rode that afternoon in Holland, and we did like 4 days, 5 days in a row. Like I think we did like 8 hours that way, or like in the space of up until the following Sunday we rode.
That's
I think
living.
we did like 8 hours. And it was mega. Like it was one of the funnest times on a motorcycle I've had, is just enjoying it. And then like last year we had Heath. Tommy built Heath a bike for the Worlds, Junior Worlds, and it was at the track right next to Tommy's house, and that was epic. Like the week before, went there and like I rode every day in the lead up to the Dutch Grand Prix pretty much up until like Wednesday. I didn't ride Wednesday. Heath rode Wednesday, and then like did the race weekend, and then met the guy from Arnhem at the race weekend, like at the Grand Prix, who owns Arnhem, where the MXGP was in like a couple of weeks after that.
Yeah.
And he was a massive fan, and I'm like, Tommy was yarning to him in Dutch, and I said, hey, like, can we go and ride there on Monday? And he's like, yeah, the track won't be prep, but it'll be sweet. Like, you go there, it'll be ruined from Sunday, but sure. And like, we went and rode there on Monday, and rode Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I had to go to Germany on Wednesday, so I literally rode Thursday afternoon practice, knocked off at like 6, and then we got in the car and drove to Germany and got there at like midnight and had a cat event on the... No, it was Tuesday because I had a cat event on Wednesday. So it was Tuesday night and I had a cat event on Wednesday morning and I had to make it there for that. So
That's just living, bro.
I love riding, man. Like, especially when the time's right and like, you know, the weather's good and you've got accessibility to that. Why not?
The weather's good. The bike's good. The sprinter's packed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I dreamed of. So, I mean, to get to a point and be like, I don't want to do that no more. I mean, there's going to be a point when I'm like that, but I hope not.
I can't see it, man. Like, I just, especially knowing the setup, like, you're just going to be the dude that's retired, that's doing 2:30s in the morning, first thing, get up on the tractor, 2:30s, come in, make Pip some breakfast, take it to school.
Yeah, that's
Arvo's
the
on
ideal.
the Arvo's on the soupy track. Like, that's just how
That's
it's gonna
the
be.
ideal thing. I mean, that's the goal, and I mean, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to do all that stuff at home, and we have such a great spot there. And I mean, I just hope the kids enjoy it because I mean,
It's all there for
I'm
'em.
looking for riding buddies always. So I mean, I hope the kids enjoy it.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm just gonna move your camera a bit. Just stay there.
No, you're good.
So moving more on to the GP stuff. How do you look back?
Back to the day job.
Yeah, back to the day job. What funds all this carry on? How do you look back at the Ducati time? So because there's been so much time since.
Well, I mean, you
we
wanted
did.
to do one in between now and then, but we never managed to,
all right.
and we got it now. I mean, at least we got more to talk about now.
There's a lot to talk about.
Am I right?
Yeah, go this way a bit more.
This way?
Yeah.
Sorry,
you're
I
going
keep creeping.
downfield. Yeah.
No, I mean it was unreal. Honestly, the whole Ducati thing. I mean to be a factory Ducati rider and to be able to win races for them, that was something pretty special. You know, I'll never forget. Obviously, the 2 in a row, and then the one in Japan as well was unreal. But the whole environment, time. You know, I had nothing but good things to say about. You know, majority of everything that went on there. It was unreal. It was a dream come true. You know, I'd always wanted to have those red leathers hanging up at home in my shed, and yeah, I got a few sets hung up there now. So it's you know something pretty bloody special.
It was crazy when we went to Le Mans, and you got second that weekend, and just. I think you qualified. It was P2, I think.
Yeah.
You just missed out. You had the lap record at
Pretty
one point.
much it was, that year especially. If we were on the front row, we were on the box.
Yeah.
It was good. Ruby constantly bringing up, you know, you get those memories come up on your phone.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of podium photos and stuff. She's like, I miss those times. And I'm like, you're telling me.
Yeah, me too.
Telling me.
Yeah.
Fucking been a dry run, but no, I mean it was awesome. You just rocked up to the track knowing the thing was going to be on. You just needed to make sure that you were on.
Just a wild patch that they're in terms of like the development, and it's cool that like you came through the Pramac environment, got that seat, and like really did some good work with it. You know, like the whole Le Mans race was just, it was epic for us to like actually be in the box and actually like kind of see that whole world and like the environment and the team and the song at the end of it. And like, it was such a rad, it was such like a rad vibe. And then, to the Japan win and like, there was so much in that period for you.
Absolutely. No, I mean, No, it got off to a scary. No, I wouldn't even say a scary start, but it's a pretty fucking red hot seat that one in Ducati, and I mean obviously now with Marc doing what he's doing, I mean, you know, and you read and see some of the shit online about Pecco, and you're like, the dude's just won. You know, okay, he didn't win last year, but he finished second. It was fucking close and won like 11 or 12 races last year.
Did quite well.
Yeah.
Can ride a bike.
And won the last 2 world championships the years before that. And they're like, the seat's going to be, you know, that's that environment there is that. It's so cutthroat. So if there's one thing I do not miss is that constantly every week being questioned on your job.
It was like that, really.
Not even from
because it was
the inside, but
it was Anaya and Jorge Martin, right?
Yeah,
that was
that was coming through.
The,
Exactly.
The constant talk.
The constant ones behind, coming in after me for sure. And it you know, it's a tough environment to be in. It's tough, but it's tough at the top everywhere. I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, poor me" or anything like that, because it's just the way it goes.
nature
it's
of the beast.
The nature of the beast. Exactly. You're in that spot, and you know, just to be on that list is you know awesome, and to have done the things that I did. But like I said, it was a tough start. You know, I was fast, especially in the beginning, and you know, had the issues with the arm pump, and then went and got that operation done. We were locked in Qatar in the beginning for the 2 weeks. We had the 2 races there, and you know, locked in a hotel room in between the 2 races. We could go down to the gym and that sort of thing, but that was it. Like testing. We were there for like nearly 4 weeks, like 3 and a bit weeks with testing, and then the 2 races, and we were in the same hotel room doing the same shit every day. It was like Groundhog Day, and like especially that was shit. Because like I had a bad one, or not a bad one. I set lap record in qualifying and was in testing, and was like ripping, but I had this sneaking thing with my arm that I knew it was coming. Sure enough, first race had come, and fuck all you can do. You know it's coming, and there's not much you can do, and then.
There's no way you could hang on to that bike.
Yeah.
Like, if I couldn't hang on as a passenger for 3 laps.
Yeah.
Bro, how would you hang on to one of those things with arm pump?
It's not even hanging on. It's just you lose this, you lose that. And at the end of the day, that's what you need to do. You lose that. You lose a little bit of your power in your brakes, but you can, let's say, mongoloid pull the brakes. You can grab on, like hook your fingers and just pull the arm like that. Just pull it straight. But
it's like the throttle control.
The throttle control, and that last feel of the release of the brakes is the thing that goes, and that's what makes it hard. And yeah, I had the arm pump and kind of faded back to like 7th, I think, the first week. And then you sit there for another week. Obviously, we had the gym and stuff like that. You're doing your cardio and doing everything you can, but you know it's coming. It's not because you're not fit. It's just.
Do you know what it was?
It's just arm pump, man. It's just the way that you're sitting on the bike, the way that your arm's getting pulled. Like you tried, mate. I watched that many YouTube videos that week on how to get rid of arm pump. And do you think anything worked? No. I was stretching the thing from night, dusk till dawn. Like I said, we were locked in a hotel room. And so then once I got out of there, did the same thing the week after, faded to 7th. Got out of there, had the op done, like landed back because things were a bit chill back in Europe at that point. But in Qatar, it was still pretty tight.
Yeah.
But then, went back to Barcelona, got the op on Monday, and then went to Portimao. And Portimao was going good, but I bended in the race. Like, had a good weekend going. I was in, like, 2nd or 3rd, I think, in the race, and bended it and exploded it. And the actual, like, the thing had just been stitched back together, and she exploded. But that was all right. It was no biggie. But you're, like, sort of like, that was 3 in a row. Then that was cool with Jerez. It was just one of those weekends, and everything sort of went right, and was able to get the win there, and it was a big sigh of relief. But at the end of the day, you know what's been going on the couple of weeks before, so you know that you just got to stay focused and be hitting your numbers. And Le Mans was another one, to get the 2 in a row was super special, and the pressure's off a little bit, but it's not. And it just was one of those things. It was a cool year, and re-signed, and the next year was the same pretty much. You know, I think I finished 4th in the championship that year, and was not too far off. That was that year. I think it was that year, and then it was, and then the following year we were having a good run. It was going, it was a good year, but I was kind of had, like always,
Just the ups and
You have
downs.
the ups and downs. It's the way it goes. It's racing, but I was kind of wanted to change. I'd been in that environment for a bit. I think that was my 5th year in Ducati.
Yeah.
Working there, and wanted something different. Wanted to do something different, basically. And KTM seemed like a good opportunity and a good project to be a part of. So I kind of put the feelers out to Aki. I said, "Hey, are they looking?" This was before we knew what Ducati was doing. That was in Le Mans, actually, when you were there.
Yeah.
And we ended up striking a deal pretty much straight away with them. And then obviously the whole, and it wasn't only the media, it was Dorna themselves doing a special on who's going to get the seat week in, week out.
Yeah.
And it was actually like a segment on their fucking thing, which I'm like, and then they're like interviewing me about it. And I'm like, I don't want to be fucking interviewed about this. Why do I want to talk about who's going to take my spot? Like,
Yeah, it's pretty
this
savage.
is before I'd even fucking signed for KTM at this point in time. Like, I'm fucking still, like, hadn't made up my mind where I wanted to go, but like we're talking about this now. Like, all right,
Also, got a race.
Yeah, like I'm riding that bike like in like
20
minutes.
Yeah.
So that was a it was just one of those things. I just was keen on a change, and we did the swap, and then obviously 2 years in factory KTM, but started out pretty decent. We had a solid sort of a first year, I want to say. But yeah, coming back, so I'll finish out with the Ducati. I mean, we were in the championship hunt. We were in the points chase.
Both years, really.
Well, we were in the championship points chase in 22 up until Phillip Island when I got rear-ended.
Yeah.
At my corner.
In your own corner.
Yeah.
How good was that?
I mean, but people soon forget about that sort of thing as well. But it was what it was, that was the nature of the beast at that point in time. But yeah, the change to KTM was good, hit the ground running there. I mean, it had its issues, but we were able to sort of squash things down pretty quickly and get relatively comfortable on the bike straight away.
In 2022, Eli Tomac made the switch to Yamaha and found instant success on their class-leading YZ450F. Eli Tomac had 3 reasons for making the switch. He wanted power, and the Yamaha has the strongest and most tunable motor in the class. He wanted KYB suspension, and the YZ450F comes stock with his preferred KYB system. And finally, he wanted a cable clutch. Yamaha took the championship-winning YZ450F and made it even better. More powerful, lighter, slimmer, with enhanced overall stability and more agility than ever before. The 2025 YZ450F is available now in both Yamaha Blue, or to really look like Eli Tomac, it's also available in the Monster Energy edition. The pinnacle of off-road 4-stroke performance wrapped in iconic Yamaha racing livery. Head to YamahaMotorsports.com or into your local dealer now.
Portimao was good. The podium, and we had a lot of close races there where it was close. Texas was close that year, and I binned it. There was a lot of places that I binned it where we could have had a really decent run. But the podium in Jerez was nice. The podium in the sprint in Germany was pretty cool. I crashed out leading the last race of 23? Yeah, 23. And then, I thought, we're up for a big year, next year, things working, going good. Then we changed tyre construction the following year, the tyre casing in the rear. And since that moment, that bike just stopped working for me.
Really?
It was like smacking my head against this table, trying to understand what I can do. I'd had my biggest I want to say definitely the biggest year I'd ever had physically in terms of preparation.
Before last year?
Before last year, yeah.
Yeah.
I started working with a trainer who was writing my programs out of Austria. Had a trainer in Australia who was coming to the house 3 times a week, up 4 times a week.
Yeah, right.
And then the guy in Austria, he was just doing the S&C stuff.
Yeah.
And then had a guy in Europe as well, but then had a guy writing basically the programs for me for the bicycle. So they draw you up a thing on Training Peaks and tells you what to do for the day. It's honestly unreal, and it's something I still use now.
Yeah.
But because it just takes the thought out of it.
Thinking out of it, yeah.
Your Garmin, they're all synced together, and it tells you what you've got. You've got your week planned out. You're never killing yourself. You're just doing the right things. Your zone 1, zone 2. On the days that you need to do more, you do more. Whatever it tells you, you do. So it's easy, and it was something that I just had done things so much myself, and
because you never been the guy that skipped work.
No.
You never were the guy that didn't work enough.
And I understood what I needed to do. I've been doing it long enough. Then that's the thing that made me nervous was, especially with the whole zone 1, zone 2, long training, but in a lower heart rate sort of thing.
Yeah.
For me, I'm the type of guy that I want to blow my lights out, and I know I've done something.
So you never did zone 2 stuff before?
I just went how I felt good and
Dude,
made sure
could
that
you
by the
notice
end
the
of
big
it,
difference?
it was good.
It's
and
massive,
long term,
Yep.
it's made me a better cyclist.
Yep.
Long term, it's made me a better runner. It's made me better on my motocross bike. It's made me better on my road bike. It's been, in general, it's been fantastic. But it was a big thing for me to
mentally commit to it.
Commit to that because I just didn't feel like I was doing enough. I never felt like I was doing enough, especially in the beginning. And
because you're just sitting there for hours, just not really going that hard.
Go and do a 4-hour bicycle ride. Like I go to past Woodstock, and you're just ticking along.
You're like, I'm wasting my time, dude.
Like, what am I doing out here? You're looking at all the scenery and shit. You're just cruising along the zone 1, zone 2.
Yeah.
But it's cool. Like, I enjoy it because you never have.
Now that you believe in it.
Definitely don't have those mornings where it's like you need a cold chisel to get you out of bed.
Yeah.
Because you're like, fuck, I gotta get up and do it. And then I've got no energy.
Yeah.
And I think it takes the stupid overburning yourself out and stuff like that, definitely.
Yeah, the science is just so clear on it now. That's what I did before World Vets all year. Right. I just did zone 2, just was going on long runs.
Yeah.
Just staying in that heart rate. Made the biggest difference. But I didn't do enough interval stuff.
Yeah.
So, I didn't mix in the interval shit.
Yeah, to get the heart rate up and just work on the recovery sort of side of things. And that's the thing, you may not feel it on day 1, 2, 3, but then day 4 will come and you'll have, like you say, those intervals and stuff like that. That's where having somebody writing it was fantastic because he's done it a bazillion times over. And not only that, he wasn't just writing it off like I'm Joe Blow.
Yeah.
I've been there. I'd done the lactate test. I had multiple tests throughout the year of lactate threshold, VO2, all of the tests. He had all of the information. So he was writing and adjusting my plan accordingly and still is. It was super cool, but I knuckled down. I didn't stop. Like I said, when we had that, the plane, when we got stuck coming back from Germany, it was to go and do a fitness test at the end of the year.
Yeah, right.
And I got stuck there, and by the moment I got home, I started. I didn't take an off season. I didn't stop. I didn't take 2 weeks, and I just went from start to the end because I was wanted to do that for myself mentally more than anything. And then when you get there and shit's not going right, and you cannot for the life of you work out what's going on with the bike and why you cannot make it.
So it's just that rear tire changed everything.
Yeah, it just created so much grip that some of the other bikes were able to benefit from in terms of stopping, in terms of how they can decelerate with both tires. We weren't able to do that. And the biggest thing for me was the lateral chatter that I would get in the middle of the corner. So if you had a corner with a decent corner speed, the fucking grip was so high, it'd start.
No way.
Search Jack Miller chatter. I'm sure it'll come up on
MotoGP
or on YouTube. It'll
type
be on
in
YouTube. Chatter.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I'm just switching this card. Just he'll keep searching it.
Insane vibration.
KTM finds vibration after backstabbing. What's backstabbing?
He cannot use the potential.
Yeah, I don't even know. What was that one?
Yeah, go back to it. It looked.
Miller
Is there any?
No, these are
Oh, is
just
there any
clips.
video?
struggling with
There should be a
vibrations
video
since the
from-
beginning of the year.
Yeah, here we go.
Jack, like Augusta,
That's the crash.
Oh,
Don't worry about
yeah.
that. That's not it.
Yeah.
That's
which
in
saw him
first
finishing
race.
last.
Keep going again.
However, a glimpse of his potential was evident with a
Dude, how's all these like AI channels and
Oh
shit
my
now,
God.
bro?
Can result in a Sunday race
It is
in
pretty
Nine
crazy.
rounds.
No, nothing
Currently
there.
Maybe.
Go
nothing
back.
but smooth for
That's if we go down. Oh, that's Gypsy.
Hey, look at us! Look at us,
Fucking hell.
fresh little fellas.
Younger. Yeah.
You're wearing an Oakland Raiders jersey, bud.
Was
I
I?
love that.
Oakland Raiders too. That's how long ago. It was.
I love it.
Keep going down.
Is there anything?
Nah, that's not it. Down. Down. Maybe search Japan after.
So more grip was what was the
Yeah.
problem.
There
Wonder
was,
if that one worked.
No,
No.
that's not it. That's me going into the pit, into the service road after the Dutch Grand Prix. They might not have it, but
Would it be on your Instagram?
it's on Instagram, yeah, for certain.
Oh, just keep having a squiz.
You
Rolly.
keep having a look. But anyway, the fucking thing would, and it literally took until this video come out, but I can literally name every corner throughout the calendar that it was happening, like to a T. And like everybody behind me, because we had the big wing on the back,
Yeah.
they were like, why is your wing doing this? Shake,
Ah.
why is it vibrating so much? I'm like, I don't know, but I can't do anything about it. And every time it'd do it, it'd start pushing the front. And so like I was just beating my head against the wall and like,
And so you're telling the engineers.
and they're seeing some vibration. Don't get me wrong, they're seeing it on the thing, but it's what we're seeing on the data was not what was clearly what was happening.
Yeah.
Like it was not showing the same frequency as what we were getting.
Yeah.
Because the other boys were able to ride through it, but then you go behind them and their wings aren't moving. They're not doing the same thing. But whether it's a weight thing, whether it was a me and Augusto seemed to struggle with it a lot last year. And
Yeah.
Augusto's a bigger guy like myself. He's probably 70 kilo, let's say, same
Yeah.
as me.
Yeah.
68, 70 kilo, there or thereabouts. Whereas Brad's like 64, 63.
Pedro's
And
obviously
Pedro's
super
very
small.
light.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's for me was probably the only thing I could really put it down to while we were both struggling with this so much. And I mean, Augusto, again, the year before, as a rookie, finished fourth in Le Mans. He had some great races, but it was just night and day. So yeah, it was a tough year, and then basically, got the flick from there and was on my ass essentially mid-season, and it wouldn't look like there was too many left. It'll be around Japan if you can find that. So keep going down. It'll be a fair bit down. But
How close you think you were to not having a ride?
it was
Like-
all bar done pretty much, honestly.
So you thought it was
Yeah,
lights out?
oh, absolutely. You try and find out what's going on and what seats are available and who's willing to have you and who wants to take you on, and it wasn't looking good. Put it that way. My ass got saved by Paolo,
Yeah.
essentially, because I said some things that I probably shouldn't have said. Just being a dickhead, me, just being sarcastic
Hey.
and stupid.
I can relate.
But Yamaha weren't that pleased or with my attitude, I guess you could
yeah,
say.
I
So
think
they
I
were
know,
kind of
yeah,
off
yeah.
me at that point. And it was something that could have been cleared up very easily, and it was eventually. I didn't know it was an issue, and I didn't know what I'd done wrong, essentially. But you never do when you're being a sarcastic idiot. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
I'm
and I
Ruby
just-
constantly telling me the same shit all the time,
Yeah, but I think to
In-
your defense, in our culture,
In Australia,
in our
yes.
our friend group, what's the saying? Leave the ego at the gate.
Yes, exactly. Or your
that's-
feelings as well.
Leave
you
your
know?
feelings at the gate.
It's just the way it is. And, I can shoot myself in the foot sometimes, but at the end of the day, when it comes to my job and what I do, I'm extremely serious and want to do the best every time I get on the bike. So I had Paolo go to bat for me basically about that, and eventually he was able to persuade it and get it over the line. And I'm thankful and stoked to be there. It's an awesome family to be a part of, and to be working with Pramac again is awesome, but also to be working with Yamaha is phenomenal. I mean, as far as a manufacturer, I don't think I've ever seen a manufacturer more dedicated in getting back to the top, but also just in this is the one, Griff. You got it. This is her.
So this is. Oh, so that's the bounce that you're feeling.
No. Just one.
Oh, wow. Bro, what a dog.
So you can't even see in that video because on the live feed you could actually see where the swing arm looks like it's actually about to snap out of the thing.
KTM bucking Bronco. That looks absolutely terrifying to ride. Yeah, so that's a struggle.
Yeah.
To deal with.
So you're trying to
just
get
from the
things
outside
off.
in, that
Yeah.
looks like a struggle.
But honestly, how's the vapors coming off the wings? Did you see that?
No, go back. Oh, you won't
Well,
go back.
it'll restart.
Yeah,
in a
restart.
sec. But yeah, if you watch the corners, that was the first time we had like the Formula One vapors off the wings, which was pretty cool.
That is insane, dude. Yeah, they've got to.
It had some issues, and it was up until that point. Like I'm like, that is what it's doing. See the vapors?
Yeah. And so they just couldn't
Work it out, but
they-
it was also like, at the end of the day, I don't blame the engineers and stuff like that because it sounds like Joe Blow, he's fucking moaning about the same thing, this imaginary problem that he's got going on for eons.
Yeah.
But that was the issue I was having. And
so this video helped.
it helped a lot. Like, I'm like, we were watching and I'm like, this is what it's doing. And yes, those frequencies don't look that bad, but that's what it's doing on the bike.
Yeah.
It's not so much the up and down, it's the
sideways
side
movement
to side
that it's
movement,
yeah.
like the slap in the swing arm. It's
Yeah.
what's doing it.
Because that's unweighting, reweighting, unweighting,
The front,
reweighting.
and you're like trying to get the thing. These tires are so finicky that basically, the biggest thing in MotoGP now is creating no spin off the edge, because if you're on the edge of the tire, you need a seamless transition from off throttle to on throttle. Because if you create the littlest amount of spin there, it starts to spin and it does not recover. It'll spin until 6th gear, and it may not be massive, but it can also be massive. And you can, like, even on a good lap, you're not just like slapping it out of the corner. You're trying to keep it in that window. And the biggest thing is just trying to make that window bigger, the drive grip window bigger, because you create the spin. In the past with different tires, it was easier because it was almost like you pick the bike up and it would stop. Like your spin target. Let's say you're in the middle of the corner, max lean, you like use that little bit of edge to finish the corner.
Yeah.
Then you pick it up to the magic degrees, or like 30 degrees.
Yeah.
And when you put the bike at 30 degrees, the spin literally would go like this.
And then drop off.
Wow.
Yeah.
It would be like a light switch. Whereas this don't drop off. It continues to go and or continues to rise.
Huh.
And
And-
they spin all the way to the center of the tire.
And so that's new.
It's
In the last few years.
Last few years that's been the biggest thing. It's one of those things that
And that's across all bikes?
That's across all bikes. That's the tire. It's this what you got to do. You got to keep it in that window, which is fine. That's the way it goes. Like that's not an issue at all. I'm not complaining about that. That's
Yeah. That's just this
like
characteristic
the performance of the
this
tire
bike.
are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like by far the best tires money can buy, best tires around in terms of motorcycle tires. At this point in time, they are the best tire. Look at the lap times; they're ridiculous. But it's just that balancing act, as it always is. But you cannot create that spin, because you create that spin, it'll continue to grow, and you won't get the same acceleration. And especially when you've got all these winglets, all these devices to allow you to use 100% power from essentially third gear, which back in the day you weren't touching 100% till fourth, maybe fifth.
Yeah, right.
Like you were tapering it on, especially without winglets and devices.
But
Because
now
of
you
the
can
wheelie,
just
because you can do that, but it'll actually give you that, and you can use it at third gear. Whereas before you couldn't use it because you're just doing that. But we've taken essentially the CG, dropped it down, so she's a drag racer now.
Yeah.
So you're using all that power so much earlier. And that's why, like, we get tracks like Sachsenring. It used to be like, it was unheard of to hit 300 at Sachsenring, and we're well into 300s now. And Sachsenring does not have a big straight at all. But because we're just accelerating so quick.
You're just fighter jets with no wings now.
Exactly, pretty much. And, like, I know that the boys have done tests without wings, some of the Ducati boys and stuff like that, and they're getting close to 400.
Really?
It's ridiculous. But, like, they literally could only do one pass because they weren't trusting the tyres. And that's on an airstrip. But, like, that's the capability. But the wings are slowing you down, obviously, like a Formula 1 car.
Yeah.
at
Creating
one
downforce.
Point, at a certain point, they're creating downforce and they're pulling you up. But pulling the wings off because they wanted to know, what it would do.
That is spastic.
It's ridiculous.
400, bro.
It's like hearing that was pretty cool. I was thinking, because you expect it, and we always toss it up. What do you reckon they would?
how
And
fast
I
can
think
we
that's
go?
more the reason that they did it more than anything. They had to run in some engines or something in an airstrip, and they did that too.
God, that's fast. So, what was, if you look over these last couple generations of bike, how good was the Ducati factory bike? Like, is that still the bike that's been the best performing, or do you think that the KTM, when it was in the right window, could be as good? Or like now, because you've got so much experience
each
now,
has its own.
It's got its own
character.
trait.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, the Ducati, the character of the engine of the Ducati is phenomenal.
Yeah.
The way that the thing picks up the gas, the way that the mid power, the torque you have all the way through, basically. There's not a. It had a little dead spot, especially when we rode. It had a little dead spot in the lower RPM, let's say around 8 grand, and it'd have a little flat spot, but you just pull straight through, you get through that. So, for example, last corner in Malaysia, you always get the dead spot, always get the flat spot, but it's just one of those things. But it's generally, I think that's probably the most noticeable corner on the whole calendar. It was pretty phenomenal. In terms of front end, I think Yamaha, the turning of this Yamaha, whether it's the engine, whether it's the chassis, I haven't put my finger on it yet, but I've never had a motorcycle that turns like, I wouldn't say effortlessly, but just you look at a corner, and especially in the beginning when I hopped on it after the after the winter break, it like found myself like tipping in too early to corners because it was just so precise. But then the back end's not too flash. We got to tidy up the rear end of the bike. They don't use the rear tire. And again, with this new tire, you really need to be able to use the performance of it because there is so much available there. It's just about having the bike to be able to use that tire.
And if you've got other people that are using it,
that,
then they're extracting a lot of that time. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, I mean, going back to, I rode the Honda in one test before we went to Morelli software, and we were on the official HRC electronics, and I don't think I've ever ridden electronics as good as they were.
Really? When was that?
2015, end of 2015.
Really?
So I did a year,
all the way back
on
then.
Morelli when the Hondas were still on HRC software and Yamaha was still on their software, and Ducati were already on Morelli, but each manufacturer could. We didn't have the set ECU.
Yeah.
And then 16. So I did the whole year on the Open Honda with the Morelli software, but Honda didn't give a shit about it. That was the open bike, and they couldn't really give a shit, which to their demise, I wouldn't say demise,
Like
but
their
to
detriment in a way.
They didn't pay enough attention to the Morelli software that was coming the following year. And they weren't even ready for it when we went testing the day after the Grand Prix in Valencia. So I then went to a satellite Honda, but I had basically a factory ECU and all that gear in it. But we were testing stuff that was null and void next year.
Yeah, because that had,
We were
couldn't
on
go
different
anywhere.
software, exactly.
Yeah,
So but it was incredible, especially with that screamer, the way it worked. The way it would cut cylinders didn't upset the bike at all.
Yeah, right.
It was phenomenal. So I think that was pretty cool.
And in 2015, that was like
What the yeah, I mean,
Well, like even
them.
to now, like you haven't ridden electronics that good.
no.
So it's
no,
like
I
10
think
years
they're-
later,
Yeah,
and that
but
was
because
still
you
the
know,
way that
where-
it changed.
Well, it's just the ECU is the ECU.
Yeah.
You make the best with it what you can.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a broad ECU.
Yeah.
Whereas this thing was built for this.
Yeah.
That's there. You
Yeah.
know, it's made for this motorcycle.
Yeah.
And it was pretty phenomenal. But yeah, so you can pick apart things from each motorcycle. But yeah, it's pretty cool to have that knowledge and be able to
Yeah.
have ridden all those phenomenal motorcycles, because at the end of the day, they're still the best things in the world.
Oh, it's
On,
ridiculous.
you know, the
Ridiculous
top
that
of
you're
the
allowed
top.
to ride those. Like,
Exactly.
who the fuck let you ride one
Exactly.
of those bikes?
Exactly. Like, I still pinch myself to this day that I've been fortunate enough to do this for 10 years and ride these, you know, multi-million-dollar machines, these motorcycles that I shouldn't be allowed to touch, let alone ride.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing it, you know, which is it's unreal.
How was that period of uncertainty? Just knowing, like, because
it was rough. It was rough in the sense that
I could imagine.
I don't feel like I'm done. I didn't feel like I was done. And I had a lot of talks to myself and to Ruby and just like about, and to Maddie, about like, you know, it's just the thing that pissed me off more than anything, not pissed me off, but just upset me more than anything. It's not on my terms.
Yeah.
But, you know, then looking at it, what sports person, you know, and this was, let's say the Band-Aid that I put on it for myself or whatever, what sports person really
Gets to choose.
Not many get to pick, apart from Ricky or, you know, Ryan, who chose.
Yeah.
They went out on top. Very few that actually do that.
Look at Danny Rick last year.
Danny,
You know?
you know, Valet, you know, there's many, you know, Valet had done so many years, and I'm sure he would have done more given the opportunity or the right package or whatever. But I'm sure he was happy with what he'd done, but at the end of the day, he still loved it and he still wanted to be competitive there. And it's just it being a sports person, you don't really, very rarely get to choose when your time's up.
Yeah.
It's just go and hit the showers. We're on to the next one.
Yeah.
It's a revolving wheel. It's one of those things that's just unstoppable force. I don't know
Yeah.
what you're gonna say.
Yeah,
And that was the point where I basically come to was that.
But it must have, I'm sure now that you've gone through it and you got the ride with Pramac, there has to be
More
a
grateful.
crazy amount of appreciation.
Definitely. Even just
Not that I don't think you've ever
I've never been
unappreciated.
unappreciative.
Yes.
Exactly. But no,
But-
I mean, there is at the end of the day, because you know that's there. You know that the uncertainty's there. Like I said just before, I'm extremely grateful for where I am, and I'm trying to grab this opportunity with both hands and run like, fuck, get out of here. You know?
yeah.
And, you know, I'll do like always, but it doesn't mean about the job, because whenever any of the companies I've worked for, any of the motorcycle brands I've worked for, I'm pretty fucking good when it comes to my time and how I deal with people and the time that I give to my employers or my sponsors or so on. They say jump, I say how high. I don't question it. So in that sense of thing, I've always been pretty good, but definitely in terms of just enjoying it, you know, that was the biggest thing Tommy said to me was in Thailand, especially before the first round. You know, we were really going really strong through our testing. And then Friday practice, when we go racing, I went out there and I tucked the front just on like tyres that we're going to use for a race, basically. Just sort of doing a race run, just working on pace. But I was pushing, as you are on Friday, P2, that's your shot to go through to Q2. But I binned it on lap 4 or 5. Done some good pace up until then. But then I struggled to string a lap together, and I was pretty pissed after the quali. And, Tommy sort of said to me, hey, just fucking remember what you did 2 weeks ago. Just chill. And what you were doing, smiling, enjoying it, and it was coming. I have the mentality, I guess, that if it's not coming, I will force it.
Grab it.
I will force it,
Yeah.
and that doesn't work all the time. As Tommy said, stop being Peter Miller and be Jack Miller, because that's when the Peter comes out in me. It's just trying to grab it and force it.
Yeah.
And that, kind of stuck with me a little bit. Just don't force it. Just work at it. It'll come. Just don't try and make it happen now.
Yeah.
Because not even now, because it's at the end of the day, it's about working through the session. But in my mind, I've got to go faster and faster and faster. And if it could be a lap record every lap, I would try and do that. But obviously that's not possible. But that's the stupid shit that goes on inside a rider's head.
You're
Pushing
just
every
constantly
every
trying
lap,
to balance.
you're trying to push to the maximum instead of being calm and working strategically, I guess you could say, throughout the practice and save that forcing to the end or you, because at the end of the day, you're riding these things now. When the lap comes, you got to turn the brake. You got to turn the brain off and go for it.
Yeah.
Because these quality laps now are out of control. Like you're throwing everything you have, everything you put it all on the table. What have I got here? Can I get it? That's the way it goes.
The level seems so insanely high, and to the point where, like, I was talking to Casey. At one point, I was talking to Casey. And he's like, "Man, just all these guys, they're just crashing so much," and I wondered in my head, I'm like, I wonder if it's them or if it's the level now. I
do feel like the weekend starts off with. So we go to the Grand Prix just now, Argentina. We haven't been there we didn't go last year, we went the year before. But you go there on a Friday. FP1's practice. So not time. It's time, but it's not, doesn't mean shit.
Doesn't go for anything, yeah.
P2's qualifying. That's determines whether or not you go Q1 or go to Q2 direct. And there's a big fucking difference between the two. I can tell you. It's like you're throwing in the wolves when you're going to Q1.
Really?
Oh, absolutely, because you never know what's going to happen. Whether yellow flags, other guys. I mean, Pecco, for example.
Being on your line.
Doesn't. He was in Q1 in thingy, and he wouldn't impress about it. I mean, that's the guy that can pull a lap out of his ass anywhere. But he's still not happy about going there because it's not nice to be in that situation.
It's almost like a LCQ in Supercross.
Absolutely. It's completely the same. And but yeah, you've had a combined time of an hour, but let's be real, by the time you spend time in the pits and stuff like that, you probably got 22 laps under your belt. And now you got to put 2 new tyres in and send it and hope that you go through, because there's a big chance that you're not. There's a risk. That alone is the reason why you're crashing. Are you ready to push that bike? Have you got your setup dialed enough to you're happy to be pushing it to that degree? Is the track, which in Argentina is always filthy, has it cleaned up enough to the point where we can get going?
It's got some grip.
No, but you got to send it anyway. There's a reason alone. I mean, it's not that the guys are bad riders or we're shit. I wouldn't, we're on the limit every single time we get on the bike, and we can't not be. The pace of the races are fucking ridiculous. Like the race on the weekend, where did I finish? 13th. My pace, if I look back to 3-4 years ago, and I ran 39s the whole race, I would have fucking rode away by the hills. But that's not the way it goes now. Like and also the consistency in laps. My only dream, because I'm not the most consistent guy in terms of lap time and stuff like that. But you've seen how I ride. I'm not the tidiest of people when it comes to riding. And it's something that I've always wanted to be better at in terms of being consistent, being able to hit the same marks. And like when I see like my lap times from the race in Argentina, it's like consistent, all within 39s. And I'm like, even up the sprint races, like a couple of 38s in the beginning, and they stay 39-4, 39-4, 39-4, 34. I'm like, that is what I've dreamed of. But I'm still battling for 10th or 11th in the sprint race and 13th, 14th in the main race. But that's the way it goes. It's just gnarly.
Yeah, and it's like across the board too. I wonder what the difference is in errors, right? Like if you look at, let's say, to like the Casey Valley era, like is there just less dudes on the level, or is like
There's
there
less
more
bikes.
parity
There's
on
less
the
bikes.
bikes? Yeah,
There's less bikes. I mean, at the end of back in those, not even Casey's era, because Casey's era, obviously, I mean, Casey won on the Ducati in 2007 and was, his breakout year, and it was amazing. But it wasn't easy, especially the years after when everybody got on the Bridgestones, and
yeah,
then it became a controlled tyre and so on. And then what he did in 2011 on the Honda was phenomenal. Won the championship, smoked everybody, and probably should have won again in 12 if he didn't get injured. He had it all bar done. I think it was in Sachsenring he binned it when he could have been second to Danny. Had it, there was points there that would have been alone. You can go through. I mean, you can sit there and
shoulda, coulda, woulda.
yeah, exactly. Do that shit all the time. But I mean, there was the two Hondas, the two Yamis, and I mean, especially in 12, around that era, there was no Ducati. There was no Aprilia.
Yeah.
The Ducati was on the grid, Aprilia weren't, but Ducati was on the grid, but it weren't doing
It
anything.
wasn't a factor. Yeah.
There wasn't 5 other Ducati satellite bikes that are on par with, or just under par of the fucking factory bike.
And giving all of the information to the
which
top
they're all
guy.
sharing data.
Yeah.
There was the satellite Yamis, which were really strong at the time, but they weren't even sharing data at that point in time. That was just a great package for those boys to jump on, but they weren't sharing data. That's a complete new thing for Yamaha.
What a game changer that is in the whole landscape of the sport.
But it makes so much sense
in
terms of a manufacturer trying to develop a motorcycle. But yeah, they now, I mean, unfortunately on the weekend, what was the top 5 was Ducatis, and the only other one that wasn't in the top 5 was a rookie. The rest were there, and they were all in top 5, and they were all within about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But we're all chasing them. And that's nothing against Ducati. They've worked fucking hard to get to where they are, and chapeau to them. And, unfortunately, if it was last year and there was 8 bikes on the grid, there would have been probably a few more in the top 10. So look at our lucky stars and think of that. There's 2 less on the grid and we can battle. But I mean, Honda are working hard, Yamaha are working hard. These guys have been building motorcycles for an extremely long time, and I think it took a little bit for them to understand the different mentality of developing a motorcycle, reaction to developing a motorcycle, and how quick these updates need to come nowadays.
Yeah.
The feedback that's coming from the racetrack, getting relayed to the test team, to the development, and what parts or what stuff is being bought to react to that.
To those changes.
changes.
You're almost like having to react in real
Absolutely.
time these days, not in like seasons as they did in the past.
Ducati have got a 3D printer in the back of the fucking truck that is working 24 hours a day building parts.
That makes sense. That seems like that's the level that it's kind of got to.
No, I'm not talking, an engine part. It's more this stuff that's like a carbon plastic material.
Yeah.
But they're building winglets. They're building stuff to hold the wiring harness together, adding new sensors, that sort of stuff. But I swear it's going 24 hours of the day in Europe in the back of the truck.
That is crazy, bro. That's never, ever happened before.
It came in when I was in Ducati.
Really?
Remember it turned up, I thought, what the fuck is this thing going in the back of the truck? Looks like a big waste of space. No, it's a 3D printer. And sure enough, once the thing gets turned on, when the truck rolls in on on, let's say, Wednesday morning. By Wednesday afternoon, that thing's going.
It might be the pinnacle of development in sports. Like, I wonder what the comparison in F1 is. Like,
I think.
would they be
I
doing
mean,
the same shit?
They're pretty. Yeah, I think that's definitely something that's trickled down to us from Formula
So
One.
you think that that's probably come from F1
I think
first?
so, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, those guys are leading the way, I want to say, in terms of
Just
in
innovation.
terms of manpower and innovation and people that they have working on something. I
Yeah.
think they're leading the way.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But on a MotoGP bike, it's like there's way less variables.
Absolutely.
So, like, it seems like a pretty crazy place to be able to implement new things just like on the fly, get a session, get it out there, come back in. There's 2 bikes, swapping and chat. Like, that's a pretty crazy little R&D process
Absolutely.
that they got going on.
Absolutely. And then, you know, I think Ducati are probably one of the big manufacturers they've got a solid test rider, but they're getting, Piro's good. He goes out and does his laps, and he'll tell if he's going faster, he's going faster. If he's going slower, he's going slower. But there's a reason why.
Mm.
And they look at the numbers. They don't give a shit anything else. They're looking at numbers. They're looking at downloading and digesting all the data that's taken in, and they're saying this is better, this is worse. This is better, this is worse. This is how they're dissecting the stuff that's coming to the track, and then the riders are testing it. It's a different mentality. It's not so much gone are the days, because then it comes to the riders, and the riders say, oh, it feels better here, it feels worse there, whatever, you know. Riders always got something. We've always got something to complain about. But they're you know, well and truly in the depth of, it's a numbers game. Yeah, that's what it is.
Just Moneyball.
Yeah, pretty much. Just taking they've got, and like I said, they're very fortunate. They've got somebody like Piro that can hit his marks and do what he needs to do.
Yeah, like be a robot
He's-
rider.
Exactly.
Yeah,
He's not going to
yeah.
be the fastest guy out there, and he's not going to be the slowest guy. He's him.
Right
He
in
will
the middle
do
and
his-
the
He
same.
will do his shit, and he knows his role, and he's doing it extremely well, and he's been doing it extremely well for 12, 13 years now.
That's insane. And you think about, too, just the level that the riding's at. Like, all of you guys that are on that grid now are insanely good riders under a lot of pressure on bikes that are their own thing, and that you're really trying to, like you said, get right in real time and react to changes on the fly. Like, I think that's what makes MotoGP one of the most exciting forms of racing
is.
at the moment, you know?
It is definitely, and honestly, it's a unbelievable cooking pot, you know, of the talent, because, you know, everybody's just leveling up everybody's game. And I mean, now that Marc's hit the front again and his arms, what it is, he's moved the bar again. The bar has been moved, well and truly, and we're chasing. Pecco moved the bar. Jorge moved the bar. Now Marc's moved the bar. The bar is constantly getting lifted. And, you know, we're trying to chase, and it's a phenomenal time to be a part of the sport. But to the rider's detriment, it's taken the riders back in the day, you know, when you're riding for the big 3, big 4, whether it be, we're getting paid. Incredible.
Mm.
Now guys are rookies and that are signing, or even people, established riders, myself included, were signing for peanuts, simply just to get on that bike or just to get your foot in the door to get those results. But the only other way to sort of make any decent money or to go forward is to ride something different, unfortunately, because they've set the bar there, and that's the way it goes. I guess if I'm wording it correctly, you know what I mean? It's just that's how it goes.
So, like, the market
has dropped.
Yeah, the market's changed because you were trying to get the rider, and that's the rider's
Absolutely.
value would be driven up because of.
Don't get me wrong, like, your Marc's still your Marc.
Yeah,
Your Pecco's still your Pecco.
But you're going to get a
But
guy that will.
if you took that back 10 years and it's hard to say from being a rider, but I mean, there's nobody trying to poach your rider, essentially, because unless the rider wants to go, for example, myself or an hour or to leave Ducati, nobody's trying to poach them.
Yeah.
They're not going to, you don't feel like you're losing them to a competitor, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say even a competitor, but you know what I mean? The bike's that strong that we've set the bar.
They're
We've set
just like,
the
whoever,
base.
you guys want to ride for us.
You want to ride. You want the opportunity to ride this bike. This is what you're at.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate for some of those guys because they're doing an amazing job, but they're not getting paid accordingly.
Yeah. And it's it's more of like a manufacturer-driven market than like a rider-driven
Absolutely,
market.
yeah. Whereas in the past, it was
more of a rider-driven.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I guess so the danger is that the more you make these MotoGP bikes in the future less rider-dependent.
No, I don't think that. I don't think that won't happen. I don't think they're
so?
going to be rider-dependent at all. I don't think that the cream's always going to rise to the top.
Yeah, in terms of rider.
In terms of rider, whether we've got devices, whether we don't. That's the way it goes. But when you take away options or when options aren't there, when somebody's that much ahead of the rest, then it decreases the market value, I guess you could say. Because you're not worried about, at the end of the day, the guys want to win. The guys want to do the best. And that's what you're chasing is the results.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, some of them aren't getting paid what they should be to be out there risking their life, essentially, every week in, week out. And it's a very limited time to make
the money while you can. Yeah.
And it's definitely diminished a lot in the last 10 or so years.
While the sport has
grown
gotten a lot
I think
bigger.
So, yeah.
It's such a global thing at the moment. Like if you look at Supercross.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, Supercross, I think, had a big wake-up call with the WSX.
Yeah.
I think that helped them, and I think that put a lot more back into the championship for the riders. And I think as a fan, it made it, well, them putting in the playoffs for me was phenomenal because you're getting guys back.
Yeah. That wouldn't
have come back.
No.
They're going to have 6, 7, 8 months off.
Yeah.
Rather than come back to wobble around or whatever.
Yeah,
you
like
know what I mean?
Ken Roxon, normally done by May.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Tomac,
but we're getting
injured.
to see them race.
Yeah, exactly.
Well and truly to the end of the year. Or continue to race like Eli did throughout Christmas, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, he raced all year round. That guy don't give a shit.
Yeah. Did you watch Perth?
Yeah, and then went and did, a couple of acres of fencing
right
after.
Yeah. Did you watch Perth?
Yeah. The
Right.
sand track. Sand Supercross.
They literally built it for Eli.
Yeah, I know.
That was his.
It's like an indoor Daytona.
Yeah.
It's unreal. But that was fantastic. I think that nudge from World Supercross, unfortunate for those guys because it made the AMA then step up their game, which
Probably
the
made it a
AMA
bit harder
failed.
for them. Yeah.
Made them step up their game in terms of promoting, in terms of what they're doing. Like they were happy to just sit back and count their checks that were coming in.
Yeah.
But it's pushed them, and I think it's pushed them in the right direction because now they're getting guys back that were injured. Not only that, they've got an extra 3 races that they can promote the hell out of.
Sell out
stadiums 3 more
TV
times.
deals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which then goes back to the sport.
Yeah.
It's a win-win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
But it took that to get that.
Yeah.
And we're kind of in that phase. I think we need something like that.
Can you feel it amongst other riders too?
Definitely.
Like the sentiment that you're
absolutely.
putting across?
Absolutely.
That's like kind of global.
It's been a talking point for us as riders. And I mean, Marc's spoken on it. Many guys have spoken in on it.
Yeah.
About there needs to be at least a minimum sign on. Because some of these guys are signing for next to nothing.
What would be the lowest sign on, you reckon?
Probably 60 grand.
fuck off
I swear to you.
to ride a MotoGP
Mm-hmm.
bike.
I swear to you. Which you'll make up in,
But bonuses, sponsors.
if you're signing in as a rookie, you're not guaranteed bonuses, but you're probably going to get it as a top level Moto2 rider, maybe 100, 150 at a push.
Yeah.
But your leather deal, your helmet deal is going to make up for it. It's going to be better. But it ain't what it used to be.
Mm.
You know, it's in that area and then also in that area.
So
in the
what
team area.
what do you think would be a solid minimum salary in MotoGP?
When I came in, the solid base salary, let's say, was around 250.
Yeah.
But also when I came in, I'm not going to say it's all roses because when I came in, there were still guys paying for rides in MotoGP, and we don't have that anymore.
So that's gone now,
That's
pretty
gone.
much.
That's
yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. I think that's better.
Mhm.
Absolutely. But we need these guys. It's not only a full-time job. It's
It's a life. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because every day you're not on the bike, you're busting your ass in the gym, busting your ass, training, traveling. You know, doing all these little 1%
1%ers, yeah,
exactly
yeah.
increments to make yourself better.
Yeah.
And I believe if you're risking your longevity, your body's never going to be the same. You know, don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic job, and I would do it for free. But I'm just saying, like, it's because I love it. But you're putting on the show for everybody, and you're doing these great things. I think they should be paid accordingly because people should be able to live a comfortable. And I say that now because I've been here 10 years and
Yeah.
I can go home and live comfortably. I've been very fortunate in my job, but
But it's also cool for you to be a person in your position that can advocate for the people that are going to come after
even
you.
Marc,
You know what I mean?
Marc's happy to say his point on it, and I know that guy's been paid very accordingly throughout the years. But he's one of the ones that says it as well, more than me.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that our sport does need to work on, and it is something that we have spoken to the organisation about. Whether or not that falls on deaf ears or not is another thing. But we need to be better for the riders for sure.
Well, and the thing is it is
Because they are. I don't want to say that they're not good for the riders because they are very good for the riders. They are. Our safety commission's fantastic. Our camaraderie, I think, has never been closer in MotoGP than it is.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, we want to motor everybody once we're on track, but I feel like we're pretty universally.
It's like a tight group.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I think the thing is, and this is the thing that people don't necessarily keep in mind when they hear these arguments, right? Like you have a 10-year window to race in MotoGP, right? But to get to that 10-year starting point, you've probably already put in 15
At least,
years,
At least.
right? So then you do your 15 years, then you do 10 years. So now you're at 25 years. So you're a quarter of a century into this thing. And there's no guarantees that when you come out of this career you'll have your health.
You've got no schooling to fall back on.
Well, you can't because you can't make
you've
it.
Dedicated everything, especially being an Australian. You're moving to the other side of the world. Some of these kids now coming through have been over there since they're 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
And I feel for them. And every time one of the parents or one of the kids themselves want to speak to me, I'm all ears and I'll happily help in any way, shape or form that I can in terms of guidance, in terms of information, whatever, try and point them in the right direction because I know the struggle. But yeah, you've got nothing but what you've earned. And I mean, at least for me, I'm half handy with my hands. I can go home and work.
Yeah, you can dig a hole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I can go home and dig a hole. So that's not a stress for me. I'm not worried about that at all. But some of these people, have dedicated everything and that's all they know.
Yeah.
And in the past, that's all they needed to know.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, it's not a big deal, but it's just something that I think the general audience needs to know and, to try.
No, I think it's important to say, and again, it's like, so there's also the education and the skills side of things, but what if you get injured?
Exactly.
You know, like you can leave your career. Like, bro, look at Mighty walking around.
Absolutely. Mighty.
Fucking,
Daryl. Daryl's got no fucking toes on one foot.
it's
Can't wear a
crazy,
pair of
bro.
thongs.
Crazy.
Like,
Imagine not being able to wear thongs.
Exactly.
Living in Australia.
You know, it's there's no guarantee you walk out any weekend.
Yeah.
And I mean, the first thing you do, injured, whatever, we're at a point now we're 22 rounds a year. So you're racing all by every second weekend.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the year, it's just one the screw up. And week, you're back to back in it, like the Supercross boys are doing. But we're doing it in Japan, Indonesia, Thailand, all the Asian rounds.
Yeah.
We're going throughout all Asia. Tracks that are 40 degrees, and then get on a flight, and then, you know, go to wherever you're going next. Probably get there by Tuesday. Wednesday, you're at the trail. You're getting ready to go to the track. Thursday, you're at the track doing all your press. And then Friday, you're back to business again. Like, try and rest and recover and get going in that same amount of time. Like, it's a gnarly, especially the back end of the year. Like,
it's a grind.
you get to the back end of the year, and once you're done with Valencia, or Barcelona last year, but Valencia, you're happy to see the back end of a motorcycle for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, which
And
for
that's
you is
for
saying
me,
a lot.
And when I say a couple of weeks, it's about 5 days.
Yeah.
But no, it is what it is.
No,
And, it's a grind, and I believe that they should be paid accordingly. I mean, it's I'm not afraid of hard work. I'll put it in, but you know,
No,
and
that.
I'm not even speaking on my behalf. I've been very fortunate. I'm more speaking for other people.
Yeah. So, did you expect Marc to do what he's doing? Did you see it coming?
To a degree. I mean, as soon as the shoulders sort of, I wouldn't even know. You don't know how the shoulder is, but it seems like it's working all right.
Yeah.
I think after what he saw last year with him already on the 23, and they said that the step was pretty big between 23 and 24.
What do you reckon that is? Like, what do you reckon is better when they say 23,
They say
24?
rear grip, but honestly, from what I understand, just from comments from the other boys, it's just they just can feel the front end a bit more. The rear grip's a bit better. It seemed like they had a little bit of an issue with the 23, which was a fantastic motorcycle in 23, but it was different tyre.
Yeah.
And it seemed like with that 23 model, they weren't able to get that 24 tyre working really right with it.
Yeah.
Whereas with the 24 tyre and that bike, they were able to get it working spot on.
Schmick.
And I think they're there or thereabouts again this year, the same casing.
So you weren't sure that you would see this level from him?
You just never know. I mean, the dude is gnarly. And I even said to Ruby, like, I've seen the aura about him. Like, when we got off the plane in Thailand, we were on the charter going home, and it's just all the paddock, basically. And you just see the aura and yarn into him a little bit. I've seen it before. And it's like deja vu. It's just reincarnated. So it's cool to see. It's definitely cool to see, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
Because I think nobody but him knows what he's been through. I'm sure he's been through the ringer. So say what you want, the guy's put in the work. And I mean, look at the shape of him this year. He's changed body. He looks lean as a fucking racehorse. He's ready to go. So I feel like he felt it himself, and you know he's got that feeling, and he's putting it to work.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Obviously, off bike, what he had to deal with, but then think about the media.
Oh, absolutely.
And like, bro,
and they're relentless nowadays. They're relentless. The whole lot's relentless.
Think about those crashes that he was having.
Oh,
and how that's some of the worst crashes ever on a MotoGP bike. And the first comments that come out of people's mouth are how bad he sucks.
Yeah.
And you're just like, bro, this guy is risking his
and he's an
fucking
alien.
life.
You don't think he's trying?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that is somebody who literally rode it until the wheels fell off, you know? Like, he was riding that thing until the wheels fell off. And quite often they did, because he was riding the fucking wheels off it.
Just trying to
out of
make
truer
it happen.
grit. You want to talk about forcing? That's somebody forcing it.
Yeah,
And
true.
What is he doing now? He's able to ride comfortably and ride how he knows how to ride.
Yeah.
instead of having to force it because it's not working.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's, at the end of the day, you can try and force it all you like.
Yeah.
It don't work.
Yeah,
And
he was
he's-
just
he was
round
just-
peg, square hole.
Yeah, exactly. And belting it.
Yeah, legit, eh?
That's the way it goes sometimes, but that's all you know, and that's all you can do. What are you going to do? A guy like him's not going to fuck. His mentality is not to roll out. Oh, this isn't working. I was slow down. Fuck no. Never going to do that.
Dude, was it like blow your mind when you saw some of the stuff he was trying to do on that bike?
To a degree, but no, not really. Because at the end of the day, in my mind, that's what you do. I mean, that's what you get paid for. That's what you do. What you do. That's the job. That's the code.
But he had to know that, like,
Yeah,
you
but
just
you
but
sell
he's just trying, I
you sell
guess.
yourself on a belief. As I said to you, but we spoke earlier about the whole, that thing. At the end of the day, you may have a red flag in your head go up and say, "Hey, don't do that."
yeah.
I feel like my brain and I feel like his brain has a certain fucking thing in it that says, "No, you can do this. You got this. It'll be all right. We'll make it work."
Just
Which
willing
is just-
to
it's just
live by the sword, die by
die
the
by the
sword.
sword, exactly. And that's the way I think, because I know no different. That's how for me personally, that's how I've ridden a motorcycle my whole entire life.
Yeah.
And has it bit me? Yes, many a times. But it's also got me to where I am.
Yeah.
So, would I do things differently? Probably not.
Nah. Yeah.
It's just, that's the way it goes. And I feel like, just from an outsider looking in, I think that's the way he
Yeah.
thinks about it as well. That was what he was thinking about that whole scenario at that point in time.
Yeah. No, it's just cool now to sort of see. I think it's good for the sport too. I mean, maybe not if he just wins.
If he dominates the whole year and does the Jet Lawrence and has a perfect season, no, I wouldn't like to see that. But
Yeah.
I don't think it'll happen.
No.
I don't think it'll happen.
And-
And I could be wrong. You could be saying, fuck, he was wrong, in 12 months' time. But Pecco's a fucking determined bloke who
Yeah.
will come back swinging. And I think his brother will have something to say about it as well. But that's just the Ducatis. And hopefully we'll get to some tracks where our bike can factor into it a little bit more.
So, do you think Pecco's underrated by people?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because you know him well. Like,
Yeah.
you've spent a lot of time around him.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just know the ability that he has. He's not an in-your-face kind of guy, but his ability on a motorcycle is pretty phenomenal. And then, and he does very subtle things that you don't see, but you don't see, but you do see. You know what I mean? It's just
Like, only somebody that really knows.
that knows what he's doing on a bike, and like just the way he preps himself for corners and his whole riding style and just the way he goes about it is very different to the way I go about it or Mark goes about it, which is uniquely for everybody. But
Yeah.
just some of the things he does on a bike, I'm thinking, fuck, I wish I could do that. I wish I would prepare more. I wish I would be more out with my shoulders, and the way he turns the bike without using the lean angle, and the way that he does that to let's say eliminate a little bit the risk and the stress on the tire and stuff like that with getting the same benefit.
Yeah.
is really
So
phenomenal.
he's doing like less is more.
less is
in a lot
more,
of
but
places.
then getting to the same. Instead of him going out and around here, he's jumping straight across.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal rider in that way, and he's very user friendly with his body in the way that he doesn't force it. He lets it come to him in the way he's very, like some riders, for example, you watch, for example, Jet looks very effortless.
Yeah.
And then you got a guy like Bam Bam who
Looks more effortless.
He's putting the work in, you know what I mean?
Yeah. He's
Or even
working
an
it.
Eli.
Yeah.
And Eli looks like he's putting the work in. Like, I mean, where was it? Arizona this year, I think. Was that when they went
Yeah.
and fucked off?
Yeah. Oh, no. You're talking about San Diego.
It was San Diego.
Bro, that was wild.
When they passed Coop with 10 to go.
Yeah. And they just marched.
But, like, Eli was, especially there was a set of whoops where they were cupped out and like they had the big V in them, big rut through the whole way. And Eli was just marching through the center, just manhandling the thing. And Jet was like
standing up through the rut.
That
on
was
the
ridiculous.
inside too.
Yeah. And Jet was sort of like just doing his hop and just making it look effortless. And it was like chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then that's the thing I feel with Pecco is Pecco's more of a jet, a really finessey kind of the way he does it. It's just, I don't know how he does it. I don't know what it is about it, but it just looks fucking good.
Yeah, yeah. But probably just doesn't get the respect it deserves because it's not the Eli.
But even Eli, I think Eli was that for a very long time, was underrated as well.
True,
You know, I think it's just not it's a different
enough time
it's
hasn't
just a different
gone past.
enough time hasn't gone past. It's just a different era, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the stuff he does on the bike is pretty phenomenal for me as a fanboy on the outside watching.
Yeah, and it's it's funny. Like he kind of was the guy. Obviously, won 2 titles in a row, and it was like very like tight between him and Jorge, and like so that it seemed like it was pretty open and up for grabs in a way. But he was the dude that was able to grab it twice, almost 3 times. So it's
and the year before that with Fabio, I mean, he lost that by bugger all as well. I mean,
so it's like if you look over time, you
can say it's nearly 4 in a row, but it's he didn't, but he did 2 in a row.
But that's a very consistent guy over a big block of time with a lot of changes in the sport. Essentially,
absolutely, and I think there's another change that's just happened with this whole Marc coming back on fire. He just reignited, so I think he'll react to it. And the thing I see with Pecco a lot as well is when he's sort of backed up against the wall, he can. That's when he does some of his best work.
Yeah. So
I think it'll be an interesting year. I can't wait to watch.
So before you were talking about how you've never seen a manufacturer go as hard as what Yamaha has.
Mm-hmm.
What's that look and feel like?
Just in terms of, first of all, recruitment, but then in terms of work, R&D behind the scenes, in terms of the projects that they've got on the go.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous the amount of effort they're putting into this project to, like I say, arrive back to the top, because at the end of the day, they won the championship in 21.
It wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago, but it seems like a fucking decade ago.
Yeah.
So, they're muscling and doing some incredible things, both at the track and away from the track. So I'm looking forward to but at the end of the day, Rome wasn't built in a day, and they know that. And that was maybe some of the issues that we had with the last manufacturer.
Just trying too hard too soon.
No, but it's just there's no magic pill that you take and you're there.
Yeah.
Ducati didn't just take a magic pill and one day they were there.
Yeah.
It's the 1%.
Yeah.
Here, there, and you'll arrive. But it's not getting frustrated with here and say, fuck, we need to have a revolution,
Yeah.
Change what's going on. It's not that. It's a matter of it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
And that was what Ducati did with Dovi. And, I feel that's what Yamaha is doing with Fabio.
Mm.
And hopefully me.
Yeah.
Involved, It's an awesome project to be a part of, and it reminds me an awful lot and they've managed to poach. They've managed to poach quite a few good boys from Ducati as well, which guys that I thought would never leave.
Really?
So that's pretty magical, and having those guys in the corner will definitely help speed up the process, let's say. And the biggest thing about them also, it's one thing to poach somebody from a different manufacturer. It's another thing to believe them. And it's another thing to trust them.
Trust what they say.
And trust their direction that they're leading your project in.
Yeah.
And that's a very hard thing to do in this somewhat political, somewhat,
Japanese.
But not even the Japanese, just in general, in terms of the tier of, I'm the engineer, I build the bike, and then I'm an engineer, I do electronics, or I help with this or whatever. But he's got his own ideas. And if he doesn't agree with his ideas, chief engineer can just say, we're going this way. And then what have you hired him
And then
for?
why'd you hire the guy?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is something that they're doing, for the most part, I believe, very, very well in terms of following the direction, following the lead, and trying to try something new, trying to work in a different direction. Maybe, I wouldn't say reinvent the wheel, definitely. It's not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's just trying to try a different way of thinking and a different approach to the issues.
Yeah. How much of a, I guess, an advantage has it been over these last handful of years riding different bikes and working with so many different people when it comes to your input on the bike? Because I feel like at the start at KTM, it seemed like you got the bike up to speed relatively
somewhat
quickly.
Yes, definitely. But then, like I said, you run into that wall, and it's a matter of making those 1%ers.
Because you make big gains in the start.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then you expect that the big gains at the start should keep coming at a consistent pace.
But they're not going to.
But it's not like that.
No, it's not like that in anything.
Yes. Yep.
You know,
Fitness, all those
fitness,
things.
business,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
It's in anything in life, it's not like that. It doesn't work. And maybe in some magical world it does happen for very few, but not many.
Yeah.
It, like you say, it doesn't at the beginning, and then it plateaus a little bit. But you got to keep the
grind
faith
through.
and just
keep
chipping away and take the 1% and continue to work. And yeah, I think having the experience that I have, obviously, I've got a lot of stuff that I can bounce back to, and a lot of different experiences, a lot of different, like you said, motorcycles, this, that, the other, that I can. So when I'm giving information or giving my input, it's I've got just something to bounce it off. I've got a different point of view to bounce it off, I guess you could say. It's not just being on the same bike my whole life. And that bike last 2 years ago, 3 years ago was like this. It's something completely different. So I think that's useful, as well as in combination with somebody that knows the bike very well. You know what I mean? Because
Fabio's obviously got like a lot
knows.
of experience. Yeah.
That's all he knows basically in MotoGP is Yamaha. That's the only bike he's ridden. And then I'm the whore of the paddock, and I've got all this information, and that's what I bring to the party. May not be as fast, or I may not be as good looking, but that's what I bring to the paddock. But we then both give our feedback, let's say.
Yeah.
And then we can understand if we're both feeling the same thing. Well, that's easy. But if why is he feeling different? Why am I feeling different? What is my past? Why does mine feel different? What am I interpreting different to what he is interpreting? So I think that helps elevate. But then we've got an example, Rins, who's got experience on Yamaha, on a Suzuki, which was another inline four, very different motorcycle, but another inline four as well as the Honda. So, and then Miguel, who's got the Aprilia and KTM background as well. So I think they did very well in terms of recruitment for the project, and I think we've seen some decent stuff already, but.
Yeah, I think it's
the
kind
best
of
is yet to come, well and truly.
I think everyone was pretty surprised at the start. Like, were
the
you
problem
even
is
surprised?
you wouldn't say surprised. No,
Just stoked.
happy.
Yeah.
I was nervous. Don't get me wrong. I was nervous after I rode. I rode the first rendition of the bike in Barcelona last year after the last race, and. It was quite an old bike that had been put together from the test team, simply because when you've only been running two bikes for a very long time, and that's, you're putting together another two bikes, complete parts, spare parts, it's very rare that you've got two chassis the same in the beginning. So it was just kind of...
It's not like Miller Racing. And
yeah, it is kind of like that, actually. There's a lot of random stuff that's thrown. We got that out of work for the beginning, you know what I mean? You're just trying to get somebody out on track to feel a little bit and just gauge the rider more than anything. So The one that I had in Barcelona, I was a bit nervous with. I just didn't know how things were going with it. I was like, also, you've only got one day to learn the bike and play around with what little information. The mechanics have never worked on the motorcycle before. And it's not like working on your local,
It's
on
a
your
little different.
YZ450. She's,
yeah.
A little bit more complex. So they're trying to learn that as well as
You're
my
not
crew
just putting a
chiefs
Kiefer map in that thing.
Exactly. And you've got the crew chief who come across from Honda, so he's got experience with Ducati, but he's never worked with Yamaha as well. So we're all trying to learn it, and it was a big, what's going on here? Like,
So you're all just standing looking at this thing, like
scratching our heads.
How do we get the fairings off this
exactly,
thing?
pretty much.
Yeah.
And the boys are like all hung over because they just won the championship the day before.
Oh, that's awesome.
So they're all like, half of them haven't got a voice. Like, you can imagine what it's like. So I was like, fuck, this is a bit how you going? But anyway, we'll keep playing around with it. And no, when we came to test in Malaysia, it was a very different motorcycle, and better. I was very happy after the first day already in Malaysia. I was like, oh, this feels better.
Dude,
This
that
feels
must
more
be the
normal.
biggest relief.
Relief.
Oh,
Completely, because you've just been stewing on what was a rather shitty day or not the best day you've had riding a motorcycle for the last 3 months, and you're thinking, fuck, I hope this thing works when I get back on it in February. And this is the shit that goes through your head as a rider, because you're your own biggest critic. This is, at the end of the day, you wouldn't want to be a fly on the wall on what goes on in my head. Of course, there's a lot of bullshit that happens in there as well, but at the end of the day, you fucking question absolutely everything you do. Everything. Is this right? Am I doing this right?
Did I do enough?
More?
Did I do too much?
Yes, exactly. All of that. So it's one of those things, and no, it was relieving, that's for sure. But they're a good bunch of people, and I'm stoked to be a part of it, and looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to especially some certain tracks.
Yeah, what tracks do you think you're going to do well at?
It'll be interesting. I think once we get to Europe, grip's a bit better. There seems to be, we're struggling with rear grip. So if the general grip's a little bit better, it helps us. Fast-flowing tracks are probably going to be more our forte. So.
Fucking keen.
So keen.
Are you, how will Circuit of the Americas be for you?
I'm excited. Like I said, the thing turns good, so
yeah,
I'm keen to see what we can get it up to around there. The thing turns like that last really long. Right-hander should be unreal. First section, she's a little bit heavy, but at least it's precise when you put it down. Like the KTM was super agile like that. Ducati was super heavy like that.
Yeah.
This is kind of somewhere in the middle, so it's not too bad. That first sector, you kind of just flip-flop through.
Yeah.
The whole way, and it just seems like it goes forever. It's fucking bad.
Like you're setting up the cones.
Action. And like you just curb, and it's bumpy at the same time. So you're like, and then like you get 15 laps in the race, you're like, every time you got to on the handlebars, and you're like, get over. And because if you mess your timing up, you're gone.
Yeah.
You're wide, miss all the apexes, and like
you lose
it's a knock
so
on
much
it.
time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Such a big knock on effect. So you're like, I cannot fuck this up. I need this to be right. But that'll be cool. It accelerates all right. Top ends, we're working on it, but it'll be all right there. It's not like it was good in Thailand, and Thailand's got massive straights. So
yeah,
we've only got one to contend with really in Coda.
So let's fast forward to the development then of the next generation of bikes. If you could tell Dorna, MotoGP,
I think they're doing it.
You think that they're going in the right direction?
think so.
Or like, what is the direction?
Well, they're going, what is it, 700 and something cc, and then they're going no devices, no winglets.
No winglets?
No winglets, so
No ride height?
No devices at all. So
Really? So they're just going straight back old school?
Old school.
Fuck,
Old school, and
that's
then,
living.
and then it's going to be tyres as well, looks like.
It's going to be...
Tyres as well, they're changing.
They're going to change the
manufacturing,
tyres?
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah, right.
So it's a lot of changes. It'll be a coin flip in that first year.
So who do you think is going to have the initial advantage?
At the end of the day, I mean, you're just changing CCs. And from what I saw in the past, when they went from 800 to back to 1,000, didn't change fuck all.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's just...
It just
A good motor is going to be a good motor.
The good brand with that sort of technology at that point in time, but also changing tires in the same time.
Might be a...
Yeah, it's anybody's bet. That's what I said. At 27, it'll be crazy.
Yeah, right.
Just
So,
hope I can still be there.
yeah, I was going to say, do you think you'll still be there?
Hopefully. I only just turned 30, and the wife said I could still do it for a little bit longer. So, and I'd like to do it for a little bit longer. I still, like I said to you before, I feel like I've got more to give. I feel like I'm still getting better.
Yeah.
I still feel like I'm getting better. And until I don't feel like I'm getting better, that's, when I think it's time to go. But, every year I feel like I get stronger. Every year I still feel like I'm being more mature in the way I approach certain aspects of my racing, in terms of how I approach races, how I make decisions throughout races.
Yeah.
And it's unexplainable, but I feel like the older you get this man strength about you. You just don't have when you...
Well, you got dad strength now,
exactly,
bro.
Exactly. And it's a real thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a real thing. It's something that you just get. Like the other week in Thailand when that fairing blew off, it blew open in lap 7. It was hot in Thailand. It was like 40 degrees. Asphalt temperature was like 68. The bike was cooking with the slipstream and everything.
And so you were getting all that heat.
So then I was like cooking already. It was hot. And like your brake lever's burning in your hand when you're pulling the brakes. And,
No way.
Yeah, everything's hot. Everything's hot. And then the fairing broke on like lap 7. Well, then I really did start cooking because like it was popping out on the straight, so I was having to hold my fucking arm like that to keep the fairing from ripping off.
No.
So then that was cooking my arm there and there every time, and then every time I turned on the right hand side, the fucking bike had. And remember I fucking raced. What was that? 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Still got that fucking burn there from the race, and like that shit. Like as you get older, you're like, oh, well, it's got 15 laps, 16 laps left of this thing cooking my leg for a little bit longer, but I'll deal with it. It's just one of those things. Swinging off a welder at home, getting burnt.
You do get stronger as you get older.
Absolutely.
I reckon, like, I started feeling...
Text the wife. Make sure she's...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. 6 o'clock already. Yeah, like when because I started doing jiu-jitsu when I was like 28, I think I was, or 29, somewhere around there. But when I got to like 32, 33, that's when I started to feel like I was actually getting stronger. And you just get like, you get thicker.
Yeah.
You just start to kind of like develop a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a real thing. It's definitely something that you hear of and you don't really know it. But until you're actually living through it and you understand like shit that used to hurt, don't actually hurt that much anymore. Riding the bicycle, doing some of the shit that you do, it just seems to be null and void. I don't know if it's your body getting used to it or what, but
No, I think you definitely like really do develop over that period, you know. So
and I think there's a certain point as well when shit just starts to get harder.
I'm on that.
The back end
I'm
of
on
it.
that.
Yeah.
36.
Yeah. Fuck, yeah. That's why I heard 30. Oh, it make me nervous.
Nah, I've started doing weights.
There you go.
Yeah,
Help
that
it?
helps big time, bro. Like just doing you know what I'm
I
like.
couldn't tell.
What do you mean, bro?
I couldn't tell.
No, you know me, right? When I start doing something,
Yeah, you fixate.
right? I didn't do that with weights. I just go do the same shit every
You didn't read
day.
19 books about it.
Didn't read 20 books about it. Didn't watch any YouTube videos. I just went fucking old school.
Really? True?
I just go, just do the same shit every time. But it's been since like October
Yeah, right.
that we've been doing it because Anna goes as well.
Yeah.
Like me and her, literally same workout. Just flip the fucking weights, bit heavier for me, bit
Well, she
heavier
got
for
one
her.
of those
and
ones
stuff.
on the app.
What's that?
Me and Ruby do the one where she got the app and it just tells you what to do.
Nah,
Then I just do like a different weight to her, but then I'm...
we're similar thing, bro. We just do like bench press, triceps, fucking incline, like just the most basic shit. But I've done it now, I think, because it's been consistent, like actually feeling the benefits. And I'm just not getting it sore because I've been doing jiu-jitsu a lot now and just not get nowhere near as sore in the mornings. So I reckon that's the secret, eh? I've never done it consistently.
Well, I never really done gym. I just was cycling and running and moto my whole life until 2 years ago.
So
And
now
then-
you actually have been lifting
Yeah,
weights.
been
You can feel it?
using the gym at home. I felt it for sure on the motocross bike and even on the road bike, just in terms of core and stuff like that. Like especially with the S&C, we did a lot of core, a lot of stuff like. Well, they did all those fucking tests, and they're like, "Oh, you need to strengthen up your trunk and this, that, the other." So we just did stuff to activate that sort of stuff and try and build on that. And I noticed a lot, especially on the road bike, change direction stuff.
Yeah.
But also on the moto, just being able to let's say just hold myself together a little bit more.
Yeah.
Whether it be going into corners, coming out of corners, stuff like that.
So you haven't got to ride the 450 at Lommel yet?
Not the Emmy.
Oh,
Lommel's not what it used to be. Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, it still gets known.
You just said that so Euro.
It's not though. Like all the boys are like, "Oh, it's not what it used to be," and it's true. Like it's kind of gone a little. I wouldn't. It's just got a hard base to it.
Yeah, so it's just not like it.
Not like you don't get the ginormous holes like you used to. At least it might be different this year. I don't know, but at least last year it wasn't as gnarly as it used to be.
Yeah.
But then like Arnhem, oh my word, when we went
That's
down
the
that
gnarly
Monday,
one.
honestly, I did 2 motos and I couldn't do no more. My lower back was done.
What was the video that Maddie sent me a video of you with like last lap to go on a 20-minute motor? It was a
I
race.
did a race, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
and you were just like,
like it was like a Dutch Masters
Dutch
race
Masters.
for qualifying for this Motocross, and I did it, and I qualified. But yeah, last lap, man, my elbows were down, and it was like a little canal next to the thing, and I was like heard a noise, and I thought it could have been getting lapped, but I wasn't. It was somebody else up my ass, and I've kind of gone like that, and in the sand. As soon as I went like that, it's just gone to the wall, and I just hit the sand wall, and the bike's like lent up with the clutch pulled in against the thing because I've just like hit the wall, and I've gone into the canal behind it, like in the swamp water.
You look tired,
I was
bro.
very tired.
You look so tired.
Honestly, it was a gnarly track too. That was heavy duty. It was sick, but
yeah, that looked fucking real. That looked like a real track.
that was Toowoomba prep right there. Absolutely, that was like a couple of weeks before Toowoomba. That's what you do, like go and ride sand moto. So
Just
perfect prep for
just
Toowoomba.
punish yourself.
Yeah, no, it was good. I enjoy it. Every time I enjoy it. Everyone's like, "Well, you like riding in Holland?" The tracks are good. Like, no matter where you go, the tracks are prepped because they're rough as shit anyway. So
Yeah.
the tracks are what they are. You just ride them, and at least there's no dust, really.
Yeah, they just don't know you.
Mm.
If they're asking that,
Yeah.
they just don't know
You
you.
just go out there and suffer for like 30
Yeah.
minutes. You're like, this is fun. Come in, you got sand everywhere. It's good.
Living. So before you go, predictions for the Supercross Championship.
Coop.
Have you? Yeah, Coop.
And
She said that pretty quick, mate.
yeah, I feel Coop's got it.
What makes you
Chase
feel?
could switch it up on me, but I feel like Coop's
Just
the last 2 weeks. Well, we've had a week off now, haven't we? But Coop's been solid, and I know Coop is solid, and he's like we're feeling it now.
Yeah.
Maybe, as I said before, with that aura about Mark, Coop got that aura.
mm,
Got that thing about him. It's clicking.
that big dick energy.
That's it.
It's just
exactly.
swinging,
It's
bro.
swinging right
It
now.
is swinging.
You know, Kenny. I feel like Kenny could go well. You know, I hope Kenny can go well.
He's
I'd
just in a
love to see
big
him
points
there.
hole now.
Unfortunately, with the chain incident with the lapper and that put him in a bit of a hole. What is he now? Like 20?
It's 22 points,
Oh,
we
22
looked. Yeah,
back now.
yeah. Which
There
is
was
pretty.
17 there for a little bit, but I was after he got the win, I was like, oh, well, you know. But it's been awesome to see him do well. Chase is solid, and if he can,
Fast.
yeah, he's Chase. I mean, he's ridiculous on a motorcycle, and I don't want to be one of those guys because I'm not. It's just unfortunate with the way things have played out for him this year, and I hope he can challenge Coop, and we have a good series all the way to the end, which I believe he will, definitely. But I just feel like Coop's rock solid at the minute on the web train.
Got that aura.
Web wagon. That's it.
The web wagon.
Web
Hitch,
wagon.
hitch up to the
I've
web
already hitched.
wagon.
And 250s, I don't know. It'll be a hard one. Be interesting to see Eli come back for outdoors.
Mm.
He's meant to be coming, right?
Yeah, I think he's doing like the last few Supercross
Him
races.
and Prado.
Yeah.
Good.
I
Jet,
I-
hopefully. Well, Jet's not going to be back for a bit of while.
They reckon he's like on schedule to be back on the bike like days before outdoors.
Really? Build up through the season, maybe.
Be tough though.
It'd be
But I
tough.
mean, fuck, he's so good.
He's effortless. So fingers crossed he can.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
good was watching in Melbourne, eh?
Oh, sorry.
That was the sickest shit.
Yeah.
How good was like the opening ceremonies of that?
The whole lot was like, I've never heard a crowd like it, honestly, ever. I've been in a lot of places, heard a lot of crowds, and I ain't heard a crowd like that. Aussie fans get nuts, and that was pretty special to see that place sold out and doing that. I'll be back again this year, hopefully.
Oh, I got
They do it again.
goosebumps thinking about it, eh? Like it was just, I think it was cool. I mean, you'd be able to kind of relate to that as well. Like, you know, you
To a
don't
degree,
get to
but
race
we
at
don't
home
get
so
that-
much.
We don't get that stadium effect. It's different in the stadium. Like, don't get me wrong, we get some great crowds, and it's phenomenal. We get, 200,000 people who into Tour Grand Prix, which is absolutely astounding when you see that many people in one place.
Yeah. Try
Kind
getting
of
it.
spread around, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? But then when you get like, was it like 80,000 in that in thingy? Was it 80 or 60?
Marvel.
Marvel.
No, I think it was like 50 something
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, that alone there, 50,000
in one spot.
at a MotoGP race, 50,000 is like, especially in Europe, that's a bad day.
Yeah.
Because they're so spread out, you don't notice it. It's the same like when we used to go to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
The place would look like a ghost town, and we had like 80,000 there. It was a ghost town.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Is there anybody here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they can seat
Because
like,
the capacity.
400,000.
Yeah. Capacity is huge.
That's the thing. You don't get that stadium effect. The night stadium. It's just everyone's a bit louder because they've been in the beers all afternoon. Stoked
Yeah.
to watch them racing.
Yeah. The French fans at 4 p.m. in Arvo are really hitting struggle
Yeah,
street
yeah,
because
yeah.
they've been up for 12 hours.
Yeah. Well, fuck. They start on Tuesday. There.
Oh, bro. Try get a night's sleep at a MotoGP, eh? Camping in the motor.
Nah, it's easy. I can sleep through anything.
Well, dude, thanks so much for doing this.
My pleasure.
Crazy that we made it happen.
We'll get it again.
Yeah.
We'll be back again.
I'm coming to Coda.
Perfect. I was
Yeah.
about to ask you that.
Yeah, I'll be there. Booked for I'm going to be there all weekend
You
Thursday.
got passes?
Yeah.
Fuck, look at you go.
Hey,
I don't
I'm a
have to
big
do
kid
anything.
now.
I don't have to do anything. That's fucking good.
Yeah, last time was the Jack Miller special. Just fucking getting you, bro. Did we tell you this? That driving to and from Le Mans was like some of the most hectic shit of
Yeah, but
my
you guys
life.
stayed
eh?
in Paris. It's like nearly 2 hours away.
Did I tell you? You know how far the traffic backs up on the
No.
highway to like
To
come
get
into
into Le
the
Mans?
to get into the track on race day,
No?
bro. Like 5Ks back from the exit.
Yeah, right. On the highway.
On the
freeway.
highway before you get off the
Into the
highway
shit, yeah.
and then go. Dude, this line was like 3 hours long and it was before quali, so it was Friday. It wasn't race day. And we were running late because we stayed in Paris.
And
we
you
wanted
got
to get
Gypsy
some
with ya?
croissants and we wanted to, like
And the
we,
gypsies with you.
yeah, we wanted to enjoy Paris. So we get there and Matty's like skits and he's like, dude, the traffic's going to be so bad. The traffic's going to be fucked. Like we're going to miss quali. We're going to miss it.
Everything.
Bro, I literally drove on the side of the highway, just taking down trees, like just in and out of the like bridges,
Yeah.
like just,
Just thread the
and these
needle.
French people are just everyone is out the window, fucking losing it at
Losing
me.
it off ya.
And Ronan was with us, and he's in the front seat, like
Just trying to be invisible.
just trying to hide, dude. Eh? So we get there. So that was the front side of the race weekend. And then leaving, how long did it take us to get to Andorra?
Oh, yeah. You guys, literally, I got home at like midnight. And you guys got there like 4 a.m.
5.
And we went at the same time. Left at the exact same time. Fuck knows how that happens.
Bro, that was,
Remember what you were doing? Following the GPS off the car.
yeah,
Note to
literally
everybody,
following a
don't do that.
TomTom.
Don't follow the GPS of the car. Use maps.
Oh, dude. And
I'm meant to be the tech, and I'm not meant to be the
Yeah,
tech
you're not the
whiz.
phone
You
guy,
are.
yeah.
You are.
the pass, the mountain pass
Yeah.
that you go up to in Andorra.
I remember you set a lap record up there. Or what?
I would easy have the KOM going up that hill, bro. But the funniest, did I tell you, we broke the seat in the rental car, the reclining thing.
Mm.
So the handle broke So the seat was like forward because we were getting bags
then
in,
couldn't
right?
move it.
So we were driving the whole time, and then we get to like the servo. It's pissing down rain, and Ronan's there like, dude, I can't. We have to move this seat. We have to. So I go into the gas station and buy like some multi grips, and then I multi grip the seat, but then it goes all the way back.
He would have been stoked with that. At least get sleep.
Until that mountain pass.
And
Bro.
he just sat with no backrest.
So I set the lap record up this fucking. I was so tired, I didn't care if I died.
Yeah, you at that point.
I just wanted to
You just
sleep.
literally been up for like 24 hours at that point.
Bro, and not to mention, flew to Europe.
Yeah.
Big fucking flight from Oz. Drove to and from
Paris
to Le Mans for 3 days in a row.
And decided
Then
to
left the track.
800K to Andorra, which took you 14 hours.
Bro, and so Ronan's laying flat in this thing, and I'm just handbraking in turns and shit, and he's just rolling like a sausage in a pan. And we get like 3/4 of the way up this fucking mountain pass, like right before the passport control there. And Ronan just races out the car and just it's just a big old projectile
Just all the
vomit there.
croissants
Like,
coming up.
oh fuck, I'll never forget that trip, eh?
Yeah, it was a good trip. That was a good day.
That was a good day, eh?
Many more.
Yeah, more to come. Let's get on the podium at Coda.
We'll try.
I want
That's the plan.
to. I want to carry on in the box
I'd like
with you
to
when
knock
you.
around a bit. Been a minute.
It has been a
I'm
minute.
keen.
Well, mate, thanks again. You're always welcome. The
Thanks,
Gypsy
Gypsy.
Tales family loves you. We'll see you at Coda.
Cheers, brother. Cheers, guys.
Legend, mate.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.